shows up here on YouTube. Because it always has a small delay. But I think we got it here. All right, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. So we're back with another Pokemon Rants. And today we're going to dive headfirst for the love of Pokemon with Ray and Shining Cards and Collectibles. By day, Ray is a hardworking family man turned to Pokemon connoisseur by night, covering a wide variety of experience from local events and vending to also jumping into some of the larger events such as Collecticons and, of course, selling globally on eBay. Ray has showcased his ability to be a sound of reason during live debates while also looking constructively at both sides of the argument, and some may even say, not everybody, a calm to the storm. So Ray brings many things that we can probably learn from, so we're going to pull that thread for the love of Pokemon. Ray, welcome to Pokemon Rants and Pokemon Wonder.
Justin, thank you so much for the introduction. It was phenomenal. After watching a few of your other interviews that you had, I knew I had to be quiet because you have some of the best introductions in the hobby, man. Fantastic.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I don't say enough because after this, we'll know each other a lot better. But I try to do the best I can and research as much as I can so that I can represent yourself properly. So I'd love to have you here, Ray. Thank you for your time, man.
Of course. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So we'll do this like we typically do. So we'll obviously have some people drop in. I know we're fighting against sports and some other podcasts, but as anything comes in, we'll try to bring it back into the conversation live and have that live interaction. But just to go and get us kicked off, Ray, because you're much like Retro in the side that I can't find too much on you. And researching yourself without getting too creepy is going to be a little tough. So give us a little bit of an introduction. I know you've actually been in Pokemon for quite some time, but kind of walk us in a short story where you kind of started from and how it got into the business that you're in today.
Okay. Well, if we want to start, I was cracking base packs when I was like, 10, 11 years old as a kid.
I'm jealous already.
riding my bike to the local game store where it's funny. I was getting scalped then. That's kind of the start of the story. I was riding my bike almost every single day, and I go crack a base pack, and the old man would sell me base packs. I think they were $7 each was the packs.
Probably Wade.
No, actually not, because I can confirm my friend did pull a Charizard from one of those packs. It was the only time he ever actually had one. We went up, and that's what he pulled was the Charizard right in front of my eyes. It was like I flipped out. But at that time it was like it's kind of funny that do you watch Pokemon Classics videos at all?
Oh yeah.
Do you see the base set one that he had recently?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay. So I've always been trying to think of a word to describe it, but organic discovery is what he used in that word or in that video. And that's why I can describe me like growing up, opening up base set for the first time and not knowing what in the heck is in any of those packs, right? It's just crazy. Yeah, it's so much. Kids these days, I don't want to sound old, but they get spoilers and stuff, man. Like I had no clue what I was opening up. All I know is I loved watching the anime every single day, and I would go scrounge up pennies around the house to go grab packs. And it wasn't until later that I went into my first my mom took me to my first like gym challenge or whatever they called it back then. There was like 3 kids that showed up because and where I grew up in New Jersey, there wasn't like a huge following for it. In fact, it was made fun of course, right? All my friends loved comic books at the time, which were kind of blowing up. And I remember going there, 2 things. One, I learned that I sucked at the game and building decks because I lost like pretty much instantly. And 2, that packs were actually I think $2.59 or $3 at Toys R Us. And I was like, Mom, I could have been buying double the packs for the past like 6 months. So yeah, that's where it kind of started.
He immediately lost all your business at that point. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, considering even back then, I mean, once again, I was 10, 11. My parents had no interest of driving me 25 minutes just to go buy some Pokemon cards. That wasn't really, in the cards, if you will.
Wasn't priority.
So I was still going up there. Plus, But yeah, plus he was pretty cool with me and whatever. You know, help your local game store guy, right? Even though you're scalping a 10-year-old.
Yeah, yeah. There's a limit though. There's a limit, Ray. So
Yeah,
how does that connect you to today?
so fast forward, you know, prior to us going live here, you saw my little dude. Um, you know, he turned 6'7", and we were in Walmart
Yeah.
and saw at that point it was Shining Legends. And I was like, yeah, we'll get some, see if he likes it, start to see if he, you know, can get into it. Because, you know, there's a big law. I mean, not that, I've always kind of like collected things. Um, Pokemon kind of went out of favor for a long time. I played Magic, I played all that. But
Okay.
2019, late, without knowing craziness was happening, by the way, it had nothing to do with the boom that was going on in terms of cards. I just grabbed the, the Shining Legends clearance. I don't know how long you've been in it, but the clearance boxes that were around the pin sets. Are you
Okay.
familiar at all?
Okay. No, but go ahead.
They were in clearance at Walmart. I think they're $15, and that set is really cool. So yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, go ahead, bud. So that's kind of what restarted it, was little dude, and then I kind of took over from there.
So did it really just restarted the fire for you? Just 100%. You were back in at that point, and you had everything from the past, and it kind of resurged that experience.
Yeah, I mean, especially because you want to talk about, in my opinion, like a set that people who collected from when they were young, like, you know, my age, I'm 36. To me, Shining Legends is a very old school feeling. I don't know if
It
you had
has
to
some
open too much of
nostalgia.
it.
Well, I have a
Yeah.
lot of it, but through binder collections and buyouts. But yeah, I
Okay.
love that set. I love that set.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, I just, especially going back to Neo, of course. But yeah, it's, to me, it's one of the, I don't want to call it modern anymore, right? I mean, it came out like what, 2016, 2017, because how, you know, when can we, I don't want to get like in too
Into the
much trouble
nuance
here for
of
what,
yeah.
well, I don't know what we get in trouble around here for calling modern and vintage. You know, I might make some people angry, but
Well, we got Mr.
it's
Walrus in the chat, so it doesn't matter what we say.
okay, true. But it's not quite modern anymore, right? I mean, it's definitely not like Silver Tempest, you know, or Lost Origins, not anything like
Right.
those sets whatsoever. It definitely has an old school feel to it, and that's what kind
Yeah,
of
I would
really,
agree.
I saw it and I was like, oh damn, this is sick.
This is good. You got you a nice shining Charizard or shining Lugia, and you're like, all right, I'm back in. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then I've also heard quite a few times that you're also in large part on the Japanese side. Is that just recent? Because I don't think that was something you had earlier on. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I would attribute that to my friend Brad. You know,
Not Brad G cards, is it?
not Brad G cards. He's not my friend. I don't really like that guy. No, just kidding, Brad. My friend Lazy as Heck. Some people may know him in the discords, but I believe the first Japanese set, I'm trying to think, it might have been Tag All Stars, is the one that I
Okay.
opened up. And that set, I mean, is pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's one of the better modern Japanese sets for sure. And then that's what kind of, I mean, I was cracking way too many packs, like end of 2019. I mean, that's all I was doing. It was bad. I was not, I'm not going to open anything and sell anything. It was just, I was having fun, enjoying it,
Yep.
and
Just
putting
cracking it.
binders together and doing everything wrong with what I'm supposed to be doing, right?
Well, it
with being a
depends.
business.
It depends because you were in a business then, right? Which I think is
Yeah.
probably what we'll go
Nope.
into next. But at that time, it was just fun. That's
Yep,
when
just fun.
the wife and the kids are away for a minute, and you say, "Oh, we'll crack a few packs real fast."
Yep, or even let
Yeah.
little dude open some of the packs. He loves doing it too, and try.
Oh,
You know,
does he?
it's
Nice.
good for trying to get him to try to read. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. Does he play
He
the
can't.
game, by
He
the
can't.
way?
With him sometimes I'll do it. He can't
Okay.
quite do it alone yet. He's
Okay.
definitely more Mario and even some
Okay.
of his iPad games at this point. But I try to, if he's going to open any packs, he has to read every Pokemon name. That's kind of the rule.
Yep. Fair point.
So.
Fair point. Ray's hobby is hidden treasure.
Read the hobby's hidden treasure. Me? No way.
Shovels here. So, how does your collection look now? I mean, I know that probably you didn't mention it, but did you carry that back from your childhood and you carried it all forward, or did you actually get rid of it, got it thrown away? What does it look like today?
It's actually really funny. You bring up a very sore point, my friend.
I'm sorry.
I know how much I
I
actually
have a
sold
tissue.
my yeah, thank you. I actually know how much I sold my binder for when I was like 17 or 16.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
it's
gonna
not.
hurt. Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
it was $127. Yeah, on eBay. It's actually when
Mm,
it had to be somewhere around when I started my eBay account, maybe a little bit before that. But it's funny. I
mm.
had all my Magic stuff. I mean, my mom had recently sent me all my Magic cards that had been kept in the attic for, all that time. And they're mangled because I played with them. And you collect Pokemon, right? And
Right.
those went straight. I can assure you, every one of those cards was super clean if I still had them, because they all went straight into a
The
binder and were
sleeve
well
and the
taken
binder.
care
Yeah.
of. Yep.
Yeah.
But Magic the Gathering, that was just ripped apart because me and my brother were constantly making decks with them.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the quality was there, but I would say that having those older cards, and I think I even saw one from Danny Phantom recently where he actually priced his old binder that he sold when he was actually getting married and buying a house. And so he priced it out for what it would be worth today. And it was multitudes more. It's
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Because
it
I
was
can tell you right
multitudes.
now, I mean, what's fun is even back then with base set, I mean, I just loved a lot of the common and uncommon arts, man. It wasn't just like about like
Mm.
the hollows. I mean, because back then, being 10 or 11, they were kind of harder to get for me anyhow, right? I mean, I had no idea about pack weighting. I'm sure someone did. I think Gary has talked about that before, but it's not like I knew about that. But like, I just remember having a hell of a lot of like the EVs from Jungle, Jigglypuff,
Mm-hmm.
some of my
Yep.
favorite cards. I just didn't care. I just wanted a ton of them. And I would just, you stuff like 10 of them behind the page.
Exactly.
So the point of the why I say this, who knows how many of those were actually Shadowless? I mean, I know I had first edition. There could have been so much more value than there than I even know. How many, uh, Air War Turtles I had, things like that. Who knows?
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
that
there's
wasn't even something on your radar. You weren't looking at that kind
no,
of stuff back then. But yeah,
absolutely not.
$120, that's good.
Yeah.
And the shovel says that was probably at least $2,000. I would probably say more, even in poor condition, which the Pokemon I think is going to be good, but I probably would say more than 2K. Yeah.
I personally, although I saw a Charizard opened in front of me at that local game store, me and my friend, but he was big into comic books at the time, and he was just always. I mean, I still have my comic book collection from when I was a kid, but
I do too.
I tried to get him, into Pokemon. He's like, fine, I'll go open one pack, and he opens up the damn Charizard. I never got
So
a
you're done. Get
Charizard,
out
but
of
my
here.
friend Steve did. Dude, he sold it to a friend of my on my soccer team for $35. He bought the pack for what,
Oh
5 or 6?
man.
Yeah, he sold it
Yeah.
less than a week
He
later.
was big balling at that point.
That's right. Yeah, probably got a couple slices of pizza or something, man. He
Yeah,
was
that's
probably
right,
stoked
man.
on it.
He was
Yeah.
happy. He was happy. A couple of games
I
at the arcade, knocking it out.
Speaking of arcade, I do have a great story of how I got my Blastoise Hollow card.
Please go ahead.
I was visiting family in Ohio. We went to an arcade, and it was one of those either claw machines or like the push machines where you push something down and it falls down, whatever. Some game of chance. There was a Blastoise in there, 50 cents,
Nice.
and I won a Blastoise
Nice.
Hollow. Dude, it was my favorite card. That's why I still, like, if I see a Blastoise Hollow, I just get so pumped about it.
That
It's
was
just,
from base set?
yeah,
Oh, nice, man. Nice.
yeah, I was so happy, man. I just remember thinking, like, I don't even care if I play any games in this arcade. I just want a Hollow
This is
Blastoise.
it.
This is amazing.
It's like, okay, mom, I'm ready to go home. I got my Blastoise.
I'm
All
actually
done.
fairly certain all I would have needed was the Charizard to finish. I don't think I ever got the Charizard. I think I would have needed it to finish the set because I think it was I had the Venusaur from a pack. I needed the Blastoise, and the Charizard would have done it for me. I would have had a whole base set.
You could have bought for $35, man.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about
What
it.
about today, though? I mean, what's your collection look like today, Ray? I mean, it's. I
um,
think you're a pretty big collector, from what I can kind of tell and gauge, right?
mostly sealed. I really like sealed stuff. I don't know what
Mm,
it is. I mean, um, I do have a lot of, in terms of, we look at slabs. I have all of the Shining Legends, shinies in a 10
okay,
with
nice,
multiple copies, probably a
nice.
minimum of about 5 each. uh,
Just to make sure, just to
just to make sure. You
solidify
never
that.
know,
Yeah.
you never know. Someone might disappear. Um, so that's like just stays. And if I'm at a show, if one pops up for trade, like I'm going to grab one. Every Collecticon, like typically, whether
Grab
it's a
something.
Volcanion, yeah, I'll probably add one to it. Just constantly add it to it. I don't care what the value is; it doesn't matter to me. I just like the cards that much. Um, I have a Mitsuhiro Arita signed
Nice.
Charmeleon from Dragon EX, the secret.
Okay.
He's like,
Okay.
it's the one where he's looking at the volcano. Yep,
Yeah.
I met Arita in Ocala. Me and the wife and kid went. Got it graded. It's a 10/10. So that one
Wow.
stays. Yeah,
Wow. Nice. I was
pretty
going to ask
happy.
you that later if you had a card that you wouldn't get rid of. I think that's the one, right? That's
Yeah,
probably
that'll be
the
one.
card that you'll probably keep forever.
And then I kind of I've been having to flip and question some of them a little bit more recently, just because of, hey, gotta sometimes keep it moving to get other things you want. But in terms of stuff that I wouldn't get rid of is probably I have a Dark Charizard that I had Z open up for me. Are you familiar with Z&G Emporium?
Oh yeah, James. Yeah.
Yeah, James,
Yeah.
awesome guy. I bought 2 rocket packs from him, and he opened
Mm.
up a Dark Dragonite and a Dark Charizard back to back, which was insane.
Those were yours. Those 2 packs are yours.
Yeah.
Oh, nice, man! Congrats.
Yeah, I crushed it. And actually, that was actually my other signed card from Arita, which I did put that up for
Oh
sale
wow.
because it was a 10, and I cracked it out to get it signed by Rita, and they gave me a 9/10 on it. And then when I got it back, I saw there was a slight dent on the back. I'm like, these bastards! I think they dented the car because this was a 10 before, and so that
Yeah.
just it's now for sale. It's on eBay in the
Okay.
vault.
They
Um,
ruined it. They ruined it for
yeah,
you,
it
man.
ruined it for sure. If it was a 10/10, that wouldn't have been sold either. But it's the other one probably. There's a few others that I wouldn't. I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head. Since I only have one right now, the Alakazam EX Secret Rare with Umbreon and
Mm,
Lugia on it, the gold Secret Rare from.
okay.
Oh man, I'm forgetting the Fates Collide.
That's it. Fates Collide.
Fates
Okay.
Collide, and it just I kind of started to take the Dan
I like that old
approach.
artwork.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But the Dan approach was I heard him say one time, catch 'em all collectibles, stuff that's like been given to him as gifts, things like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
He
Keep
try
those.
he ends up keeping that, and then I end up cycling some of the other stuff that I may not have as much attachment to.
Yeah.
Trying to
Makes
think, like
sense.
this guy, Professor Oak got this me for I think what was it White Elephant or whatever it's called. The was it base set 99 2000 Bulbasaur? It's my favorite Pokemon.
Oh yeah. 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 I got that one. I like that.
There was something
Professor Oak
about
got
this
that
one.
for you.
Yeah, there was something about this one. I'm forgetting. Base set, what is it, 99 2000? I don't know all the different variances in base sets. I apologize, Pokemon crowd, but there was something about this one that was a little bit different. It might have been, I think 2000 is not a listed year on every base
Oh,
set
okay.
card. I think that's what it is.
A
So
little
it's
bit of an error.
a little bit of an error, a little bit special.
Nice.
Um,
We got the Ray Max Climax. Like it.
it is the Raymax Climax. Yeah.
We have one does it Ray return my calls from Walrus. So I don't know. Yeah, you have to
I
ask
gave him
Ray.
the wrong number on purpose.
And for whatever reason, the emojis don't show up here, but it was a question for Ray. How many VMAX Climax boxes do you still have?
I think around 17.
Wow.
15 to 17, something like that. I only bought
Nice.
2 cases, Chavals, man. I didn't go too crazy.
Holding those for a
The
rainy day.
If you would like to know the backstory behind that, when I was still in the Pokenomics Discord, I was kind of known for pumping that because VMAX Climax came down to about, I think the lowest was about $45 a box. But,
Ooh, that's a good buy point.
I was kind of yelling from the mountains, "Buy this, please! What are you doing? This set's ridiculous." 6 months later, it was doubled. I mean, it was, yeah,
That was a nice
way
little
too cheap.
profit.
Way too cheap. The funny thing is, I didn't even sell that much of it. Like I said, I like sealed. I tend to keep some of it. So I went through.
Mm.
If I do sell it, I sold. I bought 2 cases. Sell one case to recoup again. My other case is free.
Right.
So
That's it. Just keep it for profit. Yeah.
I can kind of keep it and slowly maneuver it out as I need to.
Well, I think that's a great segue into how did this transition to business, Ray? I mean, at what point was it, okay, I love opening, Shining Fates and cracking some packs to, hey, let me make some money here. Was it because of the boom? Was it something else? What transitioned this to, because I think that's relatively new, right? So you converting this over.
I mean, I still technically am not 100% converted over, I would say.
Okay.
I have the LLC formed. I have all the name
Okay.
and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I'm very slow about it because I don't want it to, I don't want it to be like a job. It's just I
You
really
still want
really
to be
enjoy
a
doing it,
hobby.
but you have to move some of this if you want more, right? It
Yeah.
just you
You
have
can't
to.
sit on all of it.
You can't sit on all of it, and you want bigger things. And sooner or later, the wife might say to you, like, "Hey, what the hell is all this stuff doing in here, right?"
How much do you
And
really need? Well,
yeah, well, we
I'm missing a couple of sets.
may have had to recently rent a storage unit, but that's neither here nor there. But the point is like you do have to end up cycling some of this stuff. It
Yeah,
just
you do.
has to happen. So you might as well do it in the most efficient way possible, you know, with a tax benefit and all that kind of
I
stuff.
was about to say, I feel a Dan comment coming on here. This is
Listen,
not tax advice, but
definitely not tax advice. If there's anybody who's actually awful about talking business and taxes and like financial and stuff, like it's funny. It's me. I was in finance for a while and I'm just awful at it, man. I'm more serving
it's
the
not
data
your forte.
and analytics teams of my finance unit, but yeah, just not me.
Not where you find the joy. Does that actually lead us into what you actually do for a living? You're an analyst
Yeah, the
of
best way
sorts.
to yeah, app analyst,
Okay.
serving financial software for a
Okay.
global medical device company. Yep.
Okay.
Love my job.
Okay.
It's nice to work in. It's kind of funny. What I feel like could be really used in this hobby sometimes is, and I'm trying to remember the name of the website that I use every once in a while, but a good source of data because
Mhm.
it's tough to find. Because
So you go ahead. I'm
it,
sorry.
it's tough to find true data, right? Um, Geez, even if you just go to a pop report, what the hell's right? You have
Well, I
no idea.
mean, anytime you start to build anything, and I made the comment during one of Alex's labs when he had the Sean on from TCG Fish, and I built decades of international software. I work in the color industry, and anytime you put anything behind a software platform or a business or a company, at some point trust has to come into play. So
Hmm.
just the same way that Sean was talking about it. Well, hey, we're going to actually be looking at each one of these, pulling out, auctions that didn't get paid for, things that were fake, whatever the case may be, then whatever their algorithms are to pull that data out and try to have true data. But at some point, you either trust them or you don't.
Yeah,
Um,
you got to do the best you can. The
yeah.
point is it's not just pure craziness because, yeah, especially I
Like the
mean
pop
when
report.
yeah, like the pop report when random people are entering data, into whatever database is there and they're not doing it, correctly to the templates that may have been set up, it's now intrinsically screwed right from the start, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
bad
To
data in,
fix
bad
data
data
is
out.
harder. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
To fix it is a lot harder. I just had that conversation today, but we won't go into that. it was for my work. Um, so did you have to invest a lot for yourself to kick this off? I mean, it sounds like you were doing personal collection and then you kind of transitioned that to cycle the inventory and it wasn't necessarily like a monetary investment. Is that an accurate assumption?
No, it's just all. I mean, there was no investment. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I think Dan. I keep quoting Dan. Sorry, but I think he's so quotable, right?
He
But I
does
think
it
he
on
said at one
purpose.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, he does
I
it.
think he said that he started with like 5 grand, right? And that was
Yeah.
going to be it, or 500, one of the two. I forget. It was some five number. I didn't have that. I don't. I'm not.
Just current inventory is what got you started, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Your current binder.
it's no miraculous story that I was, hey, setting up the business to do this. Nope, it's no, it's funny. I was just bitching about data, but it's not like I don't really track my own stuff that great, because it's not meant to be at this point where it's supposed to be just straight up business to me. Like it's meant to
Still
be more
trying to keep it as more enjoyable.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting because when you're doing, and this is one of the areas I would like to really spend some time on because I have zero exposure and zero knowledge. And that's about running local events and collecticons. It sounds like you've done at least a couple, if not more than that. Um, what is that experience like? The preparation, kind of walk us through a little bit of that because, again, I have nothing. As a person holding a table or multiple tables, what does that look like as you prepare, you run it, you come home?
geez,
Walk
you
us
said
through.
you needed exposure. Like,
No, I don't. I
isn't
don't have
are,
exposure. Yeah.
isn't there people who are doing that on YouTube all the time trying to get paid in exposure or whatever? I mean, uh, just give them a product for free and they'll pay you for an exposure, right?
Perfect.
It's yeah. To me, it's just a heck of a lot of fun. We can try to break down each individual thing, but I enjoy everything from the preparation of making sure I kind of have everything set up correctly in terms of, do I have enough $50 slabs? Do I have enough $100 slabs? Do I have a good mix of everything? Um, do I have binders? Sorry if I'm making noise over here. Even from like setting up the table and just making sure that everything looks proper as it comes out. I
Visually
mean, it's
pleasing.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so important. And that's kind of the fun space for me, is going there and just talking with the people and trying to interact and seeing what their likes are. I really enjoy, I don't know, if I have this card and I know someone needs to complete their collection or this slab, I really enjoy making sure I connect them with it at a reasonable price. I don't like gouging people at all, at a good, fair price.
No
So
$7 base packs.
no $7 base packs. Although, I mean, hell, if someone wants to sell me some $7 base packs, I'd be all about it right now. Please.
Do you
But I'm
have
sorry,
inventory
but
set aside? I mean, you bring specific sets of inventory just for this purpose?
um, yeah, I mean, what really got me thinking of, I mean, besides just going to a Collecticon and experiencing it for myself, uh, and this is really how I like to just look at cards in general, but I really like to just look at the visual appeal of things, right? I mean,
Mm.
I always approach it like this. You're married, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When you went and got your diamond ring, you went to the jewelry store for the wife, right? Do you ever
Yep.
go into a jewelry store and really pay attention to how that like it's laid out?
Yeah, I'm a detail oriented kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you go in there and all the glass cases have every like bright LEDs, beautiful. Everything just
Hmm.
looks perfect,
It's got to
right?
shine. Yep. It's got to
Yeah.
shine.
You can do that exact same thing at a Collecticon. Just making sure. I actually thought about, with some of the boxes, lining them with LED strips or something, just to kind of make sure that the hollow pops. It's like
Right.
things like that. And it's funny because I'm not necessarily detail oriented. It's just what we do in this hobby is sell things that shine.
Shouldn't
Shiny
we put some
cardboard,
light on
right?
that?
Shouldn't we put some focus and light on that? Exactly. And I actually watched a lot
Yeah.
of my friend on Whatnot, who's done very well, Master Set Games. Shout out Sam, but he's crushed it on Whatnot. And I just sat there and watched for a while because I had some stuff he sold for me, and it's like what's selling here? What is really the thing? And of course you're
Right.
gonna have your stuff like the gold stars of the world that are like rare, but like be surprised just what like a shiny thing that looks great on camera will sell for. It doesn't
The
have to
visual
be the most
appeal
expensive thing in the world.
is
Yeah,
underrated. Yeah,
yeah,
underrated.
yeah,
And it's funny how some of those things that we know so well in other areas just don't get transposed properly to different areas. Whether that's setup and lighting, and visual appeal, and setup of a Pokemon booth, right?
yeah,
Some of those things are just overlooked.
yeah. It's funny because with Collecticon you have to kind of rent cases. Man, I couldn't fly from Florida to like Charlotte, and bring LED light strips when I'm just renting cases. I mean, yeah, that'd probably even be more maybe for Orlando since it's a 3 hour drive for me. I'll be driving to it, but it's just things like that that I think about. Just trying to paint some perspective to what I'm thinking of when I go there and how I'm setting up. It's just I want visual appeal. I want people to like come up and
Mm,
be stoked about what they're seeing.
nice.
So, yeah.
Are you
Hope I
allowed to
answered your
bring your
question.
own cases? We'll dive a little deeper if it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. You can bring
Do
it.
you, can
Absolutely. Yeah.
and so you just have a table and you can do whatever you want to on the table. That's pretty
Yeah.
much all game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they recently made some changes. I want to say there was some sort of art, like they didn't want some sort of art on the wall
Okay.
there. I forget what it was off the top of my head. Um,
On
but
their wall, but you can bring your own banners and your own stand-up pop-up
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things.
But
Yeah.
for them, yeah, yeah. I mean, pretty
Okay.
much people have craziness. I mean, people have like whole stores built within a section. Like they build the cages out, and like you can actually walk into like a cage, and it's like a little store inside there. It's like this thing's pretty badass.
Nice. I
Yeah,
think I saw Mason's image post in the Discord, and he has a pretty pretty nice setup there. Makes it look like almost a half a store almost.
It's kind of like Mason knows what he's doing with 2 stores, right?
Right?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of experience there.
Just a little bit. But yeah, he did set it pretty well. Do you look at that? And because I know a lot of people's talked about it in terms of it, at a minimum, making sure that you kind of cover the expenses for the trip.
Oh,
and
yeah.
as far as profits, and that's kind of the baseline, and then from there, everything else is gravy, right?
Yeah, because you just never really know. I mean, you just never. You hope the buyers are walking up. There is some sort of, I don't want to say randomization to it. Obviously, you can help promote yourself and do better marketing, right? And but I've
Location's
seen
still key.
I've seen people walk up to a table next to me and probably spend $10,000, and then they come to me and like, "Hey, I'm here," and they'll walk away. You can't, you know. You just never know. You never know when that money's gonna come out onto your table, right? I mean, so you gotta try to make the best way possible to do that. Actually, story. I had a friend at Kansas City, which I went to. I don't want to give away too much, but he came up to me very first start of the show, and I had a few pretty cool Japanese promos that were he was probably interested in about $7,000 to $10,000 worth of cards from me. And he said, "Okay, be right back. I want to go check something." He comes back like 2 hours later with a Battle Day Lily, which I don't know if you know what that is, but
yeah, I do. Yeah.
I'm like, "What the hell, man?
Where'd you get this from?"
He basically spent his whole allocation on one slab, and I'm just like, "What about me, man? You're supposed to buy from me. Hook me up." And but yeah, just that kind of craziness. You just never. That's what I'm saying. You never know. Like I was expecting maybe I'd have some quick stuff sold. Nope. He went. I can't blame him. Battle Day Lily's showing up at the show for some reason. Go grab it.
I mean, and probably had the better lighting, right? So
I would say probably a little bit better lighting on the spotlight of how crazy that thing went.
yeah, especially if it was during the hype of that one, because it went pretty high. It's dropping now, but yeah, it was pretty high.
What do you know what it is? Are you familiar with where it's at right now? Because the last I heard was between 100 and 125,000.
Oh, I don't know where it is. I saw it on Top 10 Pokemon recently. So the last time I saw it was there. It's probably a couple weeks ago. Yeah. No, I don't know.
It's today. But by the way, it's very crazy to have something like that just come by your booth, because he came and showed it to me, and I'm like, oh, I had to like hold it above a table because I don't want to be the one that drops it on the floor or something, you know?
Yeah, that'd be your luck.
Yeah. But yeah, to answer your first question, yes, try to prepare to where you think you have some stuff that's reasonably quick to move that can cover the cost, and hopefully it's pretty cheap for you. So in my case, I try with binders to do that. It's just much easier. People always like raw. They're gonna keep coming.
And I think I heard several people reference you. It's probably, what is it, Josh at Old School Card Shop that mentioned that you had the binders and they just cleaned you out.
Yeah, every time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And also Retro. I mean, Retro is a pretty good friend of mine. They just did Long Beach Collecticon. Josh and him together. Yeah, he said he will never. I'm gonna double negative here. Never not bring a binder again.
Yeah, he saw the value of it. But I also liked when he was talking about it recently. Sorry, Retro, I didn't get the chance to finish the podcast he had there, but he actually said that he was going through a binder and he started to enjoy the experience again of a binder, right?
Yeah.
Which just goes to show, just having that and being able to flip through it and look at it that way just is something nostalgic and touches back to all of us that used to collect a card.
I mean, I will say it might get a little bit rough when you're pricing out the binder, because the advice would be to make sure you price everything. I mean, I have 360 card binders. I have 5 of them ready to go for Charlotte. So
did you already get them priced or?
No.
No. Oh.
No, I'm regretting it. I gotta get on it.
Okay.
They're cheaper binders, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of dollar type things.
Yeah.
So I can rip them off quick, you know.
These 10 pages are all dollars. This is $3, $5. Yeah, break it apart. Do you do a lot of sourcing before your events? I mean, are you buying just a couple of binder collections? Or are you going to your local game stores and cutting some deals?
I will say, as of the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been a little bit slow. I mean, I'll say I'm always sourcing, right? I've ever you kind of in this, you should always be doing it. But as it's funny, and I don't think I've actually really said this out loud. I know I've said it to some of my friends, but the thing that I love right now, Japanese is booming, right? It's craziness. It's coming down a little bit now, but just like how base set came down, it went up what 40,000%, and then it came down maybe half that. Well, it's still up 20,000%, right? It's still
Oh
nuts.
shucks.
Those, by the way, those aren't actual real data points. But um, Japanese is kind of high right now, so it's I don't want to say I'm disappointed over it because you see some people where they're like, oh, I wish stuff would get cheap again. I don't think so. I'm glad that Japanese kind of got its due because there's a lot of people who slept on it for a long period of time. Like, made no sense to me. I mean, I think Japanese promos were always kind of sought after, but just the regular sets too, people really started going after, especially some of the special sets. They're just
Mm,
awesome. So as someone who sees that as high right now, I'm like, I have to be somewhat sensitive to the high prices, and it's like, man, I got to be careful. Like 151, which is like, I want it,
yeah,
man, I want it so bad, but I can't pay as of right now what $130 a box. I think it's what it's
yeah.
at.
No
I
way.
just
No.
can't do it. Like, so
I
it's
bought
kind of
one
like,
just to do it, and that was it. I just wanted to see what it was like, and that's like that's all.
yep,
I'm done. Yeah.
yeah. I bought one from my friend Weedle, he on his eBay Live just to kind of support him, but I just couldn't do. I actually pulled the Gengar Master Ball, which is disgusting.
Nice, nice.
That worked out.
Pretty close to the Mewtwo, almost there.
Yeah, the secret was a Jinx full art. We won't talk about that, but absolutely
Let's skip
awful.
that one. Let's
Yeah,
skip that
skip
one.
that one. But the Gengar was worth it. But always sourcing. But the Japanese stuff, especially with Worlds, it's destroyed right now.
Yeah,
You can always find something. I'm not going to sit here and act like that you can't, because you can. If I sat there and searched by Mercari, eBay, you can. You'll find something that's a good deal. It's taking a little bit longer recently, right? So
yeah.
where I started to say all this with, where I said I'm saying stuff that I typically wouldn't say, I've actually been buying some English because English is
Mm,
cheap. People are kind of away from it right now,
yeah.
and I will not open English just because I don't like opening packs that and cards that look like they got bitten. As soon, I mean, it's offensive, man. I'm sorry, I'll say it, but like when you open it up and it just your secret rare is blasted and it
Uh,
looks like it got hit with a cannonball. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's why I like Japanese. I mean, it's the quality that it's not beat the crap when I pull it out of a pack. So I've been investing and looking more into English as of right now.
I
It's just
love the air
cheaper.
quotes, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, we're not
Well,
allowed to say that, right?
no, no, of course not. We're not financial investment advisors.
That's
However,
right.
I would say that Mr. Walrus loves your business ethic, and selling him two penny sleeves in Orlando for two penny.
I don't even remember that. Sorry, Walrus. No hate. It's just funny. Man, I'm also old and have a boomer brain and forget things super easy. So,
They fall off quick, don't they? Man,
yeah.
every day that goes by, my wife said, "Do you remember?" I said, "Nope,
Nope.
I do not." Tell me again.
Too
try
much
try again.
information going
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. They can't process at all. I think actually where you left off was really good as well, because I had one section I wanted to talk about, and as I'm an observer watching all of this and learning and trying to absorb as much as I can, I'm seeing an interesting dynamic, and you kind of touched on it. English quality is low, which would kind of imply that getting higher grades would be tougher. Japanese is better, maybe not as much with the most recent sets. I've heard some rumors of the latest sets in Japanese not being as good of quality, but generally speaking, historically, it's been better. Yet the prices are higher, so easier to get tens, but it actually is going for a higher premium. What's your perspective on that dynamic between that? Do you think that's going to equalize over time and it's going to start to drop back down and English would actually come back up? Where do you see that? Because it seems a bit of an imbalance if you look at that very plainly and very generically. Because I know the Japanese is on a boom, so it came up, but maybe that's going to come back down, as you said, and you see a bit of a stabilization.
You're gonna make me give away some of the secrets, man. Some of the
Hey, man, that's what
sauce.
I'm here for.
As Retro would say, you got to keep the sauce in the bottle by stating some of this. But uh, I'll try to answer the best what I think you might be asking here about how I may perceive this or think of it with what the markets are doing. Um, they're I kind of look at them as inverse of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is this: 151 went nuts, right? Do you have an understanding of why that happened besides being 151? What's
Other
your
than
take?
the pump behind the Japanese market before that happened, and then of course the nostalgic Pokemon that came with 151 and the artwork therein. But other than
Okay,
that,
so
no.
obviously all that went into it, right? Because 151
Right.
is obviously an incredible set, but it was released in Japan first before it came to America. We had, and because what is it? We got Obsidian Flame, um, then
Around the same time.
151. Yeah, no, well, we got that set first because it's usually they're pretty close to each other in release date. In this case, we had to wait a set with Obsidian Flame and then 151's coming out as the special set.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that Japanese 151 had longer to kind of marinate and bask in. It's the only way you're getting it right now is going through the
Mm.
Japanese markets. So of course it's going to go through the roof.
I
So this is
see.
where I
Okay.
say some of the secret sauce of Ray comes out, right? Um, one kind of technique that I use, oh man, sorry, retro, is you wait till the English set releases because for the most part, not all of it, but a good chunk of demand will come down from the Japanese sets once the English
Right.
sets released. Because people are now going after the English. It's what they want. It's what you hear a lot of. I want to be able to read the card. It's like, well, you look at the art,
Yeah.
but that's fine. You want to be able to read the card. That's cool. But a lot of the times that what I wait for, if you know, Ruler of the Black Flame. I mean,
Yep.
look at it right now in Japan. It's destroyed. For I mean, some of there's a little bit of a negativity around it for whatever reason. I think it's an awesome set. I think Obsidian Flames is an awesome set. Um, but it really took a beating when the English. I think English came first. Yeah, before it.
This is they inversed it on this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Japanese, look at it. It's
It
like we
tanked.
had
Yeah.
we had the inverse with um, um, well, Obsidian Flame didn't really take off here either, so it's not really holding up my argument. I think it's just because
No.
English is overall more in a slow point. But typically, what I've seen is once the English set releases, Japanese drops, go scoop up Japanese.
Yeah.
It's like as of the past year and a half, 2 years, it's been that's kind of how the markets look to me.
But I've also seen, at least again from my point of view, there's been some changes in how the Japanese cards have been reprinted. It seems like there's a bit more, especially at V-Star Universe as an example. It seems like they had a heavier reprint than you typically would see with older sets. Is that true from your perspective and your history in the Japanese market?
No,
No? Okay.
I mean VMAX Climax got pumped all the way down to $50.
I wasn't in then, so I didn't get to experience that.
Yeah, that was like the first story when they had said earlier. I mean, VMAX Climax, like I think people were buying it at $45. That's why I was telling people
Mm,
buy VMAX Climax. I
yeah,
can tell the same story now for V Star. If you see V Star go to $50, buy it because V Star is incredible.
it's a good
Um,
set.
yeah, you won't see it, by the way, go to $50 a box. There's no way that won't happen. And if it does, um, it'll be for like a week or two, and then all that $50 a box will be gone. But even the second wave that came through, I want to say that hit 65 to 70 a box, which is just it went 65, 70 a box, and
Yeah,
then right back up to like 125
yep.
within 3 months or something like that.
Very
Um,
short time. Yeah, I
yeah,
think I bought
so
mine right around 90 or 80, something like that when
you
it
did
first
fine.
came out.
I bought mine
Yeah,
at 85.
yeah.
Sometimes you just I knew in my mind that that wasn't going to hit $50 a box like VMAX Climax. There's too many more eyes on it. There's too many idiots like me telling people to buy it at $50 a box. So everybody's saying, I'm going to buy this as soon as it hits $50 a box. Well, you might want to buy this one at 65, 70 a box or $80 because you might want to
Right.
guarantee that you can actually get it, especially when the market's losing its mind. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you gave a little secret sauce. I won't pull that thread too much. I don't want you to get in trouble after the after the live is over. Get kicked out of the cabal, as Alex says. But
Stop it with that. Don't do that to me.
I won't. I won't. I won't. That was my only joke. My only joke.
Don't promote the
But
cabalism.
yeah, it was interesting today. That was. I told Alex he needed another vacation. I came in.
Yeah.
He was already halfway through. I said, Alex, man, I just got here. You seem mad. You need to go on another vacation.
He's been invited to the cabal many, many times. He needs to join us.
Uh, Oh well, we'll leave that one be. We'll leave that one be. Instead, let's jump over. I've had some questions recently about some other languages coming up. Obviously, as you probably know, the transition from English being most popular for a while, to your point, Japanese then got some heat, some attention, some eyes. Now that's kind of drifting. You see that going over to other languages. What's your opinion on that? Do you see that being something long lasting? Is it just a temporary fad?
You mean like
What's
Chinese?
The
Is that what you're
Simplified
referring
Chinese
to?
was obviously a big hit. When it came out, it's obviously going to be catching up to us. They're running those sets really fast. They're trying to get everything out. I think that'll slow down once they get caught up a little bit.
Yeah,
But they do have some really nice boxes and really nice, collection pieces. But
absolutely.
other than that, I mean, the Korean, for example, that's getting some attention as well. Do you see those being something that stands the test of time, or is that going to fade back and stay more local to the country?
Damn. Um, wow, that's a tough question. Um, I would think with any set that may become uber popular, like EV Heroes in Japan, Evolving Skies here, um, that's those those sets that are cheaper now, like Korean is typically a cheaper box price. They're gonna just slowly inflate just because of the demand. That people are just gonna go get they're gonna want to go get their Moonbryon and maybe try to find a cheaper version of it because at the end of the
Right.
day, that they're looking at the art anyhow. As someone who primarily wants to collect Japanese because I like the art and I think it looks better. I mean, who am I to blame someone if they just are looking at Korean, you know,
Right.
um, alphabet instead of Japanese? Or I mean, just go get the card. So sure, absolutely, and I wanted to. I loved it when I found out that it was releasing in China. I think it's fantastic. You're going to tell me that everybody's wondering, well, who's the next collector that climbs aboard, and where do we get another base of collectors from? Well, China. I mean, what is it? The largest population in the world, if not,
Yeah.
or is that India? I forget off the top of my head. Either way, it's a lot of people,
Yeah. I know.
right? So Pokemon, just put that in perspective, because I didn't even put that in my own perspective. China, Pokemon just entered a whole new
Mm-hmm.
freaking market that I'm sure there was people in China who were collecting Pokemon before, but now it's touching kids at a young age,
Yeah.
and it will slowly grow over time, and hopefully continue to be the cultural phenomenon that what it is with the IP. Think
Yeah.
about it's the largest IP in the world, and it wasn't in China, you know, officially.
Cha-ching. Right.
So
Exactly.
I'm a proponent, and I love it. I mean, if we want to continue to have this grow, I mean, I think it's fantastic. So
Agreed.
any other language that wants to come out in, cool. And what will happen is there's going to be, what is it? I think Thai. There's also a lot of Thai
Oh, really?
cards, right?
Okay.
Or in Indonesian, I want to say
Yeah.
too. There's
Indonesian. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, they're going to be cheaper. There's just not as many people who collect it. But I mean, it doesn't hurt to have that option there, especially when, dude, you never know when they might release that cool promo that may only come out in Indonesian only. Was it the KFC promos that they released? I don't know if you saw that. Did you see those? They had like a little KFC bucket on. I mean, they reused the artwork. I forget which artwork they had it on.
No, I didn't see it.
But yeah, it's KFC promos, dude. I mean,
But they did that a long time ago in the U.S., did they not? A long
KFC.
time ago. Yeah. KFC. I know they had a commercial.
I
They had
mean,
a
it wouldn't
commercial.
surprise me. It's freaking
Yeah.
Pokemon. They're in everything. I mean, dude, it's like one of the only IPs. I guess I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of the only IPs that has a consistent every single year new release for McDonald's. Its own
Mm-hmm.
subset goes to McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's crazy. If someone wants to go collect all the McDonald's cards, there's a subset for them to go do that.
Yeah.
And many
I have
years
them.
going back. There you go.
Yeah.
It's
I'm a set collector, so I got those as well. Yeah. I was actually watching Ryan, and a shout out to Ryan at Pika Pika Papa. We had him on the channel a week or so ago, and 2 weeks ago actually, and he did a great video a while back where he talked about the actual projections of Pokemon and looking at when they were introducing new languages over the years. And they're not only the number of cards they were releasing per year, obviously to the market, but also the languages and when they chose to introduce those languages, and of course the increase in demand that would have. And it was very strategic in nature when you laid it all out. They were very clear about what they were doing. They had a really good plan in mind, and I'm just curious, as they continue, really is Japanese and English going to be the primary? Is it going to be the top dog sets in terms of the languages that people are going to seek, or is that going to shift over time? And I'm trying to gauge that, and I don't know. I can't tell. I think definitely Chinese and simplified Chinese will jump up there, especially just due to the population. But where else, is it going to transition? I'm curious.
Wow, it's a very thought-provoking question. Well, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the top dog in my mind, in terms of the top of the cards, are probably going to be Japanese always, because it's a Japanese
original
brand, right? Yeah. It's kind of where it came from, and if you're a collector, which we all are in some capacity, that's you kind of want that first of
original
things, right?
Yeah.
Original. Past that, I don't know. It's probably just gonna be a lot more regional, I would think. Because I mean, I'm trying to think. There's been quite a few promos that's been released in Japan recently. That's pretty much been emulated in China. And I don't know if it's got like the SV001s. They actually had a Chinese release as well as a Japanese release, and I'm forgetting off the top of my head where they released it in English. But like, I think I read somewhere that they're trying to make sure that if they release a promo, it's basically released everywhere now.
Okay.
So
nothing exclusive.
Less exclusive, because come on, they're always going to have Japanese exclusives. It's just always going to happen. They're gonna. It's just kind of how, to me, and it's not a bad thing, but it's kind of how Japan is, right?
They honor their culture very much.
They honor their culture. Yeah. They're going to have, and I mean it in a respectful way when I say this, but I mean,
of course.
I mean, dude, Americans, if we had something like that, we absolutely would have like a American flag behind a Pikachu shooting a gun with a firework, right? I mean, it's just what would happen. There's going to be some of it.
Driving a gas guzzling muscle car, right?
Yeah. So what I would say is, like, because I don't know if you know this, but because I had a friend who was stationed in Okinawa. He's a Marine. They actually import English product to Japan because at like a premium, kind of like what happens here. They want stuff from here to go over there too. So it's global, man. Just like you're in the tech sector, it's so hard to get away from everything just being global these days. It's kind of crazy.
Very few things are local. Yeah. Very few things. Well, unfortunately, it looks like the gab is out. Now we all know you only collect Japanese because you can't read English.
It's actually true, man.
So since I can't read it anyway, so just let us go for the artwork.
Wallace is always there to ruin me.
Yeah, he's always trolling. I enjoy it, though. I enjoy it. You kind of mentioned a few already, Ray, and that was, Ricari, obviously, Bai. Do you source any obscure areas? Well, again, don't have to spill all the sauce, but connections in Japan, you're getting locals. I mean, what's been your approach? Because for most of us, especially people who actually enjoy Chinese, better quality, I like the cards. But buying off eBay and the typical sites is usually going to bring a premium, and scams are high. Where do you kind of navigate that?
eBay scams are high? You got issues with that?
Reseals, yeah. That's been an issue.
Are you trying to open some of the stuff that you're getting that's Chinese?
Yeah. Well, not Chinese, but Japanese.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Japanese. Yeah,
this was at the end of last year, beginning of this year, so it was a time ago, but still, it was a challenge. Like, got to be careful. Again, the wrapping's different. Sometimes when they sell it out in the market, even there in the local stores, they take the wrapping off, and it's like, okay, and now you're kind of, you're kind of like, well, I hope it's okay. I hope it hasn't been tampered with. So what's been your approach?
Imagine going to a store, by the way, Pokemon Center in Japan, for example, where they force you to
To
cut the
take it off.
plastic. Like, just
Just
sell me
cry right
one.
there.
Don't let me cut my plastic because it's mine. I can do what I want with it. Like, you're forcing me to open this. It seems
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't
little
like it.
rough.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
a
like it.
little bit too much. But just sell me one, right? I mean, if you're trying to stop scalping, just
Right.
but I guess what they're doing is selling one and then making you open it too. So it's double stopping scalping. But
Exactly.
and I this is where I said earlier where it's a little crazy right now because I would say within the past I'll say year, it's tough, man, because Japanese taken off. So places like where you think you could go grab deals or could just go grab stuff before, like it's not there.
It's gone.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of it used to be low hanging fruit, man. I mean, I go to buy just look up auctions for whatever Pokemon cards at the time, and I don't know, just randomly grab stuff that I think's cool. I mean, there was a time it was like 2 hours straight. There was a whole bunch of auctions ending for one person, and there were some mid-era hollows, and they were ending for
Hmm.
like $1.50 each. I'm like, all right, I'll buy this, buy this, buy this. It was not like
There was no worries at that time.
it was just no
Yeah.
worries. You can't find it now. Like it doesn't. I mean, I shouldn't say you can't find it. It's a whole hell of a lot harder to find it. And
Okay.
I'm not big enough. I don't have boots on the ground in Japan. And even people who probably did have that at one point no longer have it. Because guess what? The people in Japan don't have it. Because
Yeah.
all the product is coming here. Like the people in Japan don't have their own product. It's coming to us.
Mm.
Because they don't have normal distribution out there. Like here
It
where we have
doesn't
distribution.
the facility in Japan ships to China as well, right? So I mean, they're double
Yeah,
duty
well,
and
the manufacturing. But the
right.
point is there like where we have a distribution center here, where we might have Southern Hobby, Mad Al's Card Supply,
Right.
where Mason orders, hey, this much from Southern, and he gets that in, and there's allocation set out. That doesn't happen, dude.
Mm.
I think it's kind of informal out there, and
Mm.
I don't know
Wild
exactly
Wild
how it works,
West.
but it's not like what we have here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So
to answer your
you,
question, dude,
but so you told me absolutely nothing.
I mean, Bai, Mercari,
Right.
eBay.
Those are still what you use.
I mean, that's what I got. I don't
Okay.
really have someone. I really don't. I don't really have someone in Japan. Oh, I lied. I did have a friend in Okinawa, but you would not believe it if I told you this. But he was local in Okinawa. They opened a Pokemon Center there, but couldn't find anything. Stuff was
Wow.
more expensive in the stores there than what I could just go find on eBay
Wow.
at times. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
it's. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure because him being on an isolated island probably didn't help
Hmm.
him at all trying to get
Right.
some of that.
Right.
But it's tough for the Japanese consumer to get right now too. The point is they don't have to do anybody any favors, right? Like
Right.
back when vintage was losing its mind, 3 years ago, you could throw PSA 10 EVs from Jungle up and get $500 or whatever, some stupid like just throw it up and it was gone in a day. Like the liquidity was stupid. I wasn't doing it. I didn't have any of that, but I just saw that happening. It's like, damn, sure wish I had that to sell. But like, it's not that I'm not trying to tell you anything. It's just legitimately,
I'm kidding,
everything's
man.
it's dry.
Yeah, I'm
If
just
you can
messing with you.
tell me, or help me out.
Well, you only got
Actually,
one guy. Yeah.
interesting. Shug down there. What he just said.
I'm in Okinawa, and it's a little tough times to get cards. Lottery system every time a new set comes out. Yeah, exactly. I've
I
heard the
mean,
same thing from some locals.
yeah, I had my friend. He had um, invited me to a Facebook group based in Okinawa. I
Hmm,
mean,
nice.
there's no difference in like pricing that I'd see like anywhere else, right?
Wow, that's surprising.
It's really not. It's global,
Yeah.
what I
All
mean?
right.
And
Back to that.
there is ways like if you can, and I've never figured it out, but if you can find ways to do some of the buying off um, some of the more local card stores that's just all
Yeah.
Japanese sites and just be able to make sure you can pay in yen and have, Zen
Middleman
markets or
ship
whatever.
to, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
You can do that. I've never really had to figure it out. Um, but even then, I don't know if you know it, but like a lot of those stores, um, there's a lot of manipulation going on in the past year, a lot. So
Yeah. And that kind of stuff just scares me a little bit. I'm like, that's not worth it. I'll get a few things here and there, and I have a few friends in Singapore, as I mentioned before, and sometimes they'll go over there and they'll grab some things, and we'll do a small exchange. I'll send him some English, he'll send me some Japanese cards, and we just kind of do it as a favor to each other, and it's just for fun. But that's probably about the extent of it that I would do nowadays.
you got more
Not
than me.
fun.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, if you've been was paying attention during the Worlds at all and just seeing the offers going out
Mhm.
for Worlds promos,
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's lunacy.
yeah.
I mean, good for people that can
I
do it.
couldn't
Like
see it.
I mean, good for them. I
Yeah,
especially the winners who may be selling their
yeah.
promos. Like, good for them being able to cash in. It's
Hmm.
just I'm out. I don't have them kind of funds.
That was a bigger prize than anything else that they gave you at Pokemon. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, Ray, that we'll change topics a little bit, and I noticed that if I look at your eBay and kind of listen to some of the areas I've heard you speak in, you also are in other areas of TCGs. Maybe not as heavy, but I think you do touch Yu-Gi-Oh! You touch some other areas. You mentioned Magic earlier. Um, how does that contrast for you? How does it look on the pricing side? Obviously, some of those are a little easier to get. Is the quality there? Are you still doing the grading with those? What does that look like for you?
Um. So in terms of, I'll try to just break down each
Yeah.
one. Magic. Um. Magic's just more. It's like that's what I played growing up, right? You know, I had Pokemon, which I collected. Magic is what I played. So
Hmm.
it not
Interesting.
I certainly don't have the time to be building decks or even going to a game store. You understand what I'm saying when I say that. There's just no way. Like I can't go every weekend on a Friday night and spend six
A couple of
hours
hours.
in a tournament.
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to happen. My son might actually punch me in the face. Um, Not to mention what the wife would do, right? So Magic's just more grabbing some of the stuff that I think's cool. Um, just throwing. I actually put that stuff in a binder now. Just stuff that
Mm. Okay.
if I like old artwork, I just there's something about especially older Magic, some of the Urza stuff. Like that's what I grew up with. Just seeing some of the art, it just like Pokemon, it has a
Yep. Takes you
nostalgic
back.
feel to me. But it's funny,
Yeah.
I actually binder probably more of the Magic at this point. I
Mm.
don't ask me why. It's just how it's worked out. Um, but in terms of Magic, it's more like if I see something that I think I would be interested in, I'm just mostly grabbing sealed stuff. Um,
Okay.
and I'll play like Arena online. Or if I'm gonna go play in person and I have the time to actually go do it, I typically will go hit like pre-release events because the
Yeah.
meta hasn't been figured out yet. It's one
Nice.
of the few times that you can
It's a
not go
chance.
get you have a chance. You're not gonna go get destroyed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that's Magic in a nutshell. Like the last set that and no one should have probably bought Magic in the past 2 years. Period. It's just been
It's been tough.
deplorable in
Yeah.
terms of investment. It's been just bad between the way WotC's traded its audience and yeah, it's been pretty rough. However,
Fire sales on Amazon. Yeah.
yeah, Commander
Yeah.
Legends would have been the last set that I kind of went hard in, and that came out what 2018 or something like that, maybe a little bit. My
Okay.
timeline's completely off, but
Mine too. Yeah.
uh, that's kind of where it would be with Magic. I wish it's one of those things I wish I could play it more.
Yeah.
The
It's
other
it's fun.
ones, MetaZoo, I just think's cool.
Okay.
I've not bought as much recently. I think MetaZoo has done a fantastic job with some of their box arts.
Mm.
Um,
Looks
just
good
in
on the
some of their
store
cards.
shelf. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opening it is, a knife to the gut because there's no value once you have it opened. But there's just a lot of cool stuff in MetaZoo. I just thought they did a lot of things right, but they may have just grown a little bit too fast. It's funny. I recently just took all my MetaZoo stuff to storage. Kind of. Are you familiar with the Rudy bathroom
Yep. Yep.
meme? Yeah, mine just went. All my metas are just gone storage. I can just go sit, see what happens.
It's in your bathroom or actual storage.
It's in actual storage. It's not allowed to stay in the bathroom, but it's just I have some stuff from it. It's not a ton, but I would say looking back on what I did, I probably went a little bit too hard, or maybe should have sold a little bit faster on some of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have necessarily the attachment. I just think they just do a great job with some of their box art. I just
Looks good.
how is it that they also have a void sticker over their booster boxes and
Everybody
Pokemon?
else does.
I mean,
Disney
Magic
doesn't do anything.
Disney just doesn't care. They just open it however you want. But how are they the only ones that actually have, a void sticker? It's kind of crazy. I just thought they did a lot of cool things, and I have no idea what I have. Then I'll leave it to the last two ones, which Final Fantasy is kind of a love for me. I do a little bit of Final Fantasy. I mean, I grew up playing a hell of a lot of it, and I just like some of the art. It's just fantastic.
Stories good too.
Yeah.
Original stories.
Yes, but so the trading card game, something. There's no way I could even play it if I wanted to. It's not host around here at all. So every once in a while, I'll just grab a box of that. And I had the first release box around here. That might have just went in the storage too.
Making more room for Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's just I have a lot of nostalgia for anything in the Final Fantasy series, and some of the full arts are just fantastic, especially with some of the Yoshitaka Amano art. And then last but not least would be Fab. And Fab is something that I actually been really wanting to play, Flesh and Blood.
Oh, okay. I'll say
that is actually reminds me a lot of Magic from when I was growing up. The artwork is just top notch. I hear the game is amazing to play. I haven't had a chance to go and actually go do it, but I have a whole hell of a lot of booster boxes of them because I actually believe in the product, because it's pretty fantastic to open, and the art is just something else to look at, in my opinion.
Are you selling a lot of that stuff? I see a few things here and there on your eBay, but it's not the primary that you do. It's just extra stuff that you had.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. I don't even think. I mean, I graded a few. Like, this is a cold foil from Flesh and Blood. I don't. I mean, at one point, this was probably one of the more, I think, badass shields. It was actually in the first booster box I've ever opened, which I don't know if you know anything about legendary cold foils, but it's like one per case. So to get a booster box,
you got the one.
Yeah, I got the one.
Nice.
But once again, it's just, this is where I say I don't want it to become a job, because like I just enjoy having the sealed product, and sooner or later I have enough of it opened, I will go play. You're gonna laugh. I just found out I have a local game store 10 minutes from my house. I had no clue.
I drove by it. You're like, oh, this exists.
You have no idea, my friend, actually how many times I drove by it and not knowing it was there. Because it is literally, I have to drive past it to go to my pool supply.
Oh, wow.
So probably once a week for the past 2 years.
Said, oh, what is this store?
I never knew it was there. So now that I know I have, because other than that, if I don't go to that one, it's 45 minutes away. It's the other LGS. Okay. So it's a hike to go there and back. I will probably now start doing some Fab pretty soon.
Okay.
I'm playing it, so I'm pretty pumped about it.
Good. The wife's got to hopefully give you some free time then.
Yeah, she actually asked me last week. She said, "Are you gonna go? You said Thursday night was Fab night," and I was like, "Yeah, I just got something going on."
Oh, it was today?
No, last week.
Oh, last week. Okay, I was about to say, I messed it up for you.
Okay. I requested permission. It was filled out, all formalized, signed by
Once you get it signed. Okay, good. Stamp of approval.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess then we can close that point. And is it accurate to really assume then that the liquidity there for some of those cards isn't quite the same? I think I heard, obviously, Rob last week, he focuses a lot on Magic. and he this is where he came from, his background, but it's also what he thinks is a bit more liquid, a bit better distributed across sets. It's not as top heavy as he calls it. But you see the heavier side in terms of liquidity on the Pokemon market, or it's just what you enjoy to sell, or it's just you have maybe more inventory of Pokemon.
Well, wasn't he saying that it's the playability too? Like he's selling a lot
Yeah.
through TCG Player.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah,
Do you sell at all? I'm sorry, I don't know if
I do.
You
Yeah.
sell through TCG Player?
I do. Yeah.
You sell through eBay?
Yes.
Okay. When did you start selling on eBay?
Recently, July.
Okay. You sell singles. I promise you, there's a point. You sell singles
Yep.
on eBay, right?
I do.
And you have the standard envelope, which is really nice.
Yes, 63, 68 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucked
Yeah.
prior to that, selling singles. I don't know what it is, and I have friends who sell a lot through TCG Player too, but it's amazing how terrible and inefficient USPS is delivering envelopes when there's no tracking. But the moment there's tracking with eBay, I have
Works
never
perfect.
lost. It's perfect every single time, and it always gets to its destination. So these big card stores, like they're obviously doing it full time. They have all day long, where I'm going and doing a full time job every day. Like it's tough for me to break into that singles market of Magic, where I could be selling just through 10,000 cards on TCG Player and sell 800 cards a day or whatever the number might be that they're I think he said he's packaging from what 10 to like 4 or something like that whenever he opened.
Exactly. Yeah, 2. I think 10 to 2. Yeah.
Yeah, could you do that?
It'd be tough.
Yeah,
I mean,
unless you're doing
especially
it
with
full time,
all
right?
right. Yeah, I'd have to quit my job, but
Yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
that'll be profitable enough to do that.
Yeah, so I'd be willing to bet a lot of that stuff that he is selling is all playable, and I think that's what he even said too.
Yeah, he's cracking the boxes. I mean, he's looking at current sets, and but also I didn't understand the whole playability, but apparently you have a lot more flexibility in how old the cards can be, and the rotation kind of concept is a little bit different in Magic. So it's just something I wasn't aware of.
Well, it's just different games.
Yeah.
I think Commander, dude, you can have games or cards that are legal for a lot longer. So I just don't have that. I'd be willing to bet in that case too. There's also a lot lower. I think he said he's a very low margin, but obviously selling a ton of it.
Yeah,
Like,
huge quantity.
guys like you and I can't really do that, man. That's just no way.
Transition into that was
Talk about getting punched in the face by the wife. I mean, hold on, let me go mail all these things where I'm making 10 cents each on, but selling, 5,000 of them in a weekend, right? So obviously you're making good money. It's just that's what you're primarily doing at that point.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. All right, so then I think that kind of answers that. But no, going back to your questions, and I don't mind ever answering those. And I told Alex and a few others, I use Binder POS. So that's the integration tool that I use between. It's the same thing, ironically, that Rob uses, but you basically just manage inventory through Binder PS, and it pushes it to eBay, your Shopify store, and to TCG Player. And of course, you have the condition of the card, so is it medium, light play, whatever the case may be, and it creates the listings, it takes stocks images, it does everything for you.
What's it do for shipping? But my big concern, I think that's a cool front end tool that you can use to connect and push out your inventory through all that. But what's it do for shipping? Like for eBay, if you sell a single on that, can you use a standard envelope, or do you always have to just? Is it got something there for you?
No, so it doesn't touch shipping at all. It focuses on inventory management and price management.
Okay, that's it. All right.
Yeah.
You would still send it through like the eBay sell page or whatever.
Yeah. So then at that point, it depends on who bought it and from where. But the nice thing about this setup is that everything flows back to Shopify. So no matter where they order from, the order is always created in Shopify. Now I have a choice. I can go to eBay and say, well, if it came from eBay, I can go to eBay, and if I get better shipping discounts, then I can buy my shipping label there. Which in this case, the answer is yes. It's eBay's slightly cheaper, whereas on Shopify it's like $1.20 on my current rate. So it's another 40, 60 cents. So almost double, actually. And then, of course, TCG Player flows directly over to Shopify, and you have to use Shopify to print your labels there because you can't use the eBay envelope in that regards.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's nice in terms of massive inventory, and it lets you manage a lot of cards.
Are you paying $1? You said you're paying Are you paying $1.20 if you ship a single through TCG Player because it comes back through Shopify? Is that what I understood?
That's the cheapest option that you can get, unless you went somewhere else. Obviously, you don't have to do that because it's not tracked. You can go anywhere else you want to and just fulfill the item. But if you bought it through Shopify, it would be like $1.26.
Got it. I don't want to say pro tip because a lot of people already know about it, but check out orangemailer.co. That's what I used for a while to ship. Because I'm sure you got a labeler, right? A label printer.
Yeah.
They actually print 4x6. And that's what I used to buy my postage so I could print online for TCG Player when I was still selling some singles on there. Because the $1.20 per single, it's got to be some higher price singles that you're selling through TCG Player, or else there's not much.
Yeah.
Meat on the
most of them are multiple dollars. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I think what is it, 66 cents from Orange Mailer. Now it's not tracked, just like what eBay would be, but
exactly.
I believe you can even integrate that too. Last time I checked, but yeah.
Okay. That's what I checked it out. Orange Mailer, you said it was?
Yep, orangemailer.co.
CO. Okay. Cool. Thanks, man. Pro tip. I like it.
Yeah.
We got some love for you here, Ray from Ponga.
Yeah. You want to talk about a rock star. That guy's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ponga. Appreciate you, buddy.
I think most of everybody is going to be at Charlotte. You're going to be there as well, right, Ray? So
yeah,
we get to see everybody there.
I'm one of the Cabal section leaders, bro.
I wasn't going to bring it up, man.
Actually, Mason has that listed in the Discord, which is kind of hilarious.
He really?
Yeah, it's funny. When I first saw it, I was like, "This is fantastic," and then a week later, Alex is going on his Cabal tirades. So Mason may have fed him that on accident. I don't know how the hell it started.
yeah, it came up a couple of times, but then it just went off onto its own rant. Going probably just on a slightly different area, one of the things I always like about anything that we do in life is that it transposes, if you're paying attention and you learn the skills along the way, what we do is we get to transpose that to the next area of our life. And one of the things I was curious from your point of view is, what have you learned in this Pokemon / business hobby space that you think you can take to the next section of your life, whatever that may be? What is something that you actually think you can take away, a skill that you've built that you think will be transposable, if you will?
I really think this is really cool just for the business aspect. And what I mean by that is everything that kind of comes along with it. The early days of this, I had no understanding of what some of the low margin stuff, right? Like I was probably getting, like before, I remember when I first started and I was selling just like through Reddit and stuff. Sorry, I'm playing with my dog here. I would kind of do what you're doing now at TCG Player, where it's like, damn, it's going to cost me at least like $5 to track the ship, because I'm not going to not track it ship, because dude, I'm telling you, not even kidding. Like if I sold 10 cards in a week on eBay when there was no tracking, 2 of them would come back with lost envelopes, like consistently. I mean, I'm telling you, it was every single week. That
was bad.
It really would get you pretty disappointed, especially if the card's like under $10, because you don't want to spend $5 in shipping, because that's what you would minimally do on eBay, and it just became brutal. So then you turn to things like Reddit, to where maybe you are actually finding a lot of times where people are actually not screwing you as much, and you might be able to get friends and family payments, so you're not getting screwed, that type thing. Right. But man, I would never sell for a long time unless I can track it, just because it was just like, it got so freaking brutal. And that's why I said the eBay tracking. So to go back to answer your question, I don't know why I got back to eBay tracking there. I have no idea.
I think it'll tie in. We'll wait and see what the answer is and see if we can connect that back for some reason.
So you're saying, what can I take here? But it comes back to like the business and the mindset of just thinking to the details of that business. And there's a lot of details. We started this with like marketing yourself, whether you go to a Charlotte Collecticon, how do you differentiate from the 80 other tables there, right? It's kind of a big deal. And marketing's so important anyhow. If there's one thing you're able to really learn from, especially when the boom was happening, guys like PokeRev, who obviously is a killer at what he does. He's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he's selling at that time his packs was like 20 or 30% over market, like because of who he is and the trusted source that he is. So some people I would say, well, how come he can do that? It's like, it's because he can. You know, that's why
he spent years and years building to that point.
Yes, he spent. He has the trust, integrity,
exactly.
and importance in the hobby behind him to know that people aren't going to get screwed, and that's really important.
Yeah.
So marketing and branding yourself really important, kind of going forward, and that can help you like in all aspects of your life, whether it's just your daily job or whatever. And then two, communication and just confidence, I'll say somewhat. I'll be able to take out of this. Because, man, when you're sitting behind a table and you have hundreds of people going by and guys busting your balls because maybe the price might be too high or something, like you got to learn when you can say no, say yes, roll with it when you have to. You got little 7-year-olds coming up and trying to hustle you. Like,
that'll be my son at your table.
Probably. I mean, my son did it to our section in Orlando last year. I mean, he hustled all of them for free packs. So, yeah, but like it's those kind of those kind of things that you learn. Those, what do they call them? Soft skills in corporate America. Your soft
That's
skills.
right.
That kind of stuff that you really learn. I mean, me doing this with you, I would say 2 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I getting myself into? There's no way I'd be able to handle that. I'd be like an anxious, nervous wreck. But over time, now I'm just talking to Pokemon Wonder and having a good time, right?
Yeah, having a good time.
That kind of stuff, it's really amazing how far that can take you just in life in general. Just being a likable person.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen at the job? It's like, man, why does Gary have a job here? He doesn't do anything. All he does is talk all day, but people just love him.
Yep, exactly.
It's amazing how it works.
But if you combine that with hard work as well, man, it's easy to shine. That's for sure. Yeah, it's easy to shine. Good. I like that. That's a good answer. Good answer. And by the way, he didn't get any of these questions before we started the podcast. So these are all on the fly off the top of his head. So that was a good answer, though. I like that. Switching it back to graded cards. One of the things I forgot to ask you when we were on that topic earlier was your preference. Are you a PSA guy? Are you a CGC guy? Or Beckett? Do you change depending on what you're grading? I think somebody told me once that Magic tends to go into different holders versus PSA typically. What has been your approach on the graded market?
So I lied. There's a little bit more. I was gonna say I only ever graded 4 cards at Beckett. I don't love Beckett slab. The thickness of it. I just don't. It's a little bit. I just don't like it. Just not a fan. But I do really like the way the black label looks. Don't get me wrong, I'm not like a black label buyer, but for some reason, man, the slab just looks really, really good with the black label. Even CGC's new Pristine, where it has the black, still, I don't think quite. Although it looks fantastic, especially in person if you haven't seen it, the embossing with the 10. It's a great
gold
emboss.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate at Kansas City. Zach brought his T17 Gem Mint Pokemon.
Yep.
He had I think the first Pristine 10 T17.
Nice. Yeah, I think he mentioned that on his podcast. Yeah.
You let me hold it, and I was like, oh my God, it's so nice. But like the label it does look good. I wish they would have kept it perfect and not pristine, but that's a different discussion. But Beckett overall, not so much. I was gonna say I only graded 4 cards at Beckett, but that's kind of a lie because I did grade a silver deck. Are you familiar with those?
No, what is that?
Basically poker cards.
Oh,
playing
Pokemon
cards.
poker cards. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the silver deck, the Lugia deck, which
yeah,
is
yeah. Okay.
they're absolutely phenomenal. BGS was the only one grading them for a while, but it's
Hmm.
got original like Ken Sugimori art that
Oh,
it's
nice.
yeah, they're fantastic. Look them
That's
up.
nice.
They're
Yeah.
expensive now, but they're just badass, and you can actually I think they have I think it would have been the first two generations, and they're randomized somewhat. So if you open a playing
Hmm.
card deck, like you may only get two of the EV evolutions out of
Oh,
the
that's cool.
five. So there's some
Still some
randomizations like you're
collectability.
opening.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
yeah, they're really really cool. So I sent those off and they did okay. It kind of it's the story of my life. I kind of end up grading it a little bit too late, and the peak of the craziness has happened when I go to sell, and I'm hoping to get my money back. But my first four cards I sent were four VMAX Charizards from Darkness Ablaze, one
Yeah.
Black Label,
Yeah.
which was insane at the time,
Nice.
two tens and a 9.5. That Black Label sold for like $3,000. I was like, please get this out of my life. But that's my
Don't need that
experience at
one.
BGS. Yeah, I don't need that one. But that was my experience at BGS. CGC, I actually think has the best slab uh, in terms of.
Okay. The new
Um,
one, or the old one.
it doesn't matter
Okay.
in terms of visual appeal, because the
Yeah.
clarity on the slab itself is so much better. It's just crystal clear. It just looks good, especially with some modern Japanese cards. I used to hate um, the label just due to I don't know if you recall, but when they first came out, man, the grades would sometimes come uneven, like in the box where it might say like 9.5, like you would see it
Hmm.
shift a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left
Uh,
or a little bit, and I'm like, they're judging the centering on my card and they can't even center the goddamn grade right. Like, come on, what are we doing here? Like that used to make me nuts. Uh, then they fixed that, got much cooler, and I was like, all right. For a little bit there, CGC was doing pretty well, and now I think their new label looks great. I think it's a good looking card. It just the market doesn't think so. But I think that
parts of the market. Yeah.
parts of
Yeah.
the well, I mean, overall, if you just go look, base set Charizard in the 10 for PSA versus CGC, that it's just you're going to get less. It's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have an understanding of what you're getting into prior to that, but at the end of the day, CGC they grade some errors and stuff that PSA doesn't.
Still
So
doesn't do. Yeah.
there's some benefits, um, and then PSA. I mean, it's just
It's just liquid. It's a
it's the
gold
most
standard.
liquid, it's the most value, it's a gold standard as of right now.
Yeah.
So that's number one. It has to be by default because we started this by saying if you want to be doing this any kind of long term, you got to be selling it somewhat. You have to. So if I had a preference for what I'm keeping, um, probably graded cards. I prefer over something
Really?
in a in a binder these days.
Okay.
Um, although it'd be interesting if I showed you my binder that I have. It's not a lot of rare cards. A lot, like what I said earlier, I love a lot of the just common artworks, and that's what my binder's filled with.
Yeah. That's
It's
what
common
you love,
artwork
though.
from
That's what
yeah,
it's all about. Yeah.
it's all the WotC stuff that's just commons, uncommons. I don't really care to have all those. Like it doesn't because if I'm gonna have those, they're gonna be in slabs for protective purposes. It's not just to like. Don't get me wrong. If I had like a PSA one worthy, um,
It's fine.
well,
Yeah.
I can't even say that because it's probably worth more money. But like Gold Star Charizard, right?
Maybe two.
But
PSA two.
the PSA two because the one
Yeah.
premium was ridiculous. But the point is like if it's beat the hell up, like I get it. But
Yeah.
other
I
than
's got
that,
you.
if the value's there and I want to more importantly protect it, like I don't need my golden retriever coming in here and chewing up my binder one day and here goes my gold star. Time to send it for PSA ones. So
Well, get your money back. That's for sure. Yeah, I've definitely stayed with PSA. I just what I always knew, just kind of from my early days with sports collecting and baseball and basketball. And I've watched this whole other area unfold. Now, as I mentioned to a few others, I think it was with Ryan. We were, getting the Beckett magazines when I was a kid, and that's how we got all the prices. And so I loved Beckett, but I never saw them as a grading company, and I didn't know that they even graded until I was an adult. So it was something that didn't come out until later. So yeah, PSA has been where I've stayed just for now, and I'll kind of watch and see where things unfold here as the grading battles continue.
Didn't Beckett change like their logo recently too, where they have like that star built in with the B or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the
Just looks
little
awful.
crescent thing. Yeah, it
Yeah,
used to be like the two. Yeah,
it looks bad. Sorry, Beckett. I'm not trying to rip on you, bro, but you know, get with the times.
the old crescent. Yeah, it probably says that we probably have some corporate people that's been there for quite some time, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think that they care too much about grading TCG. So if that's what they don't want to do, they want to stay in sports, then cool. But
Yeah.
I'm obviously not talking to the CEO of Beckett to actually. I'm sure they want as much business as possible. I would think, but it's
You
got to
would
be
think.
PSA though right now. It's too. I mean, I'll never forget at Kansas City, I had a dude come up to me and all he'd had was CGC slabs. And I
Mm.
want to say it was Sunday, so all day Saturday, and then I mean, it was just a slower con in general, especially for me. I mean, I did okay, not what I'm used to at all. And he came up to me and he's like, "Yeah, I sold one slab yesterday," which is
That's a
pretty
tough day.
rough. I said, "Well, what do you got? Maybe I can help you out. Like, maybe I can buy something off you, because he was a vendor." And he pulls out all the CGC slabs, and then more importantly, he has them priced like pretty much at PSA, maybe a little bit under, but not enough. I mean, one, if you're buying, are you vending at Stripe?
No, I've been my
Okay,
first time attending. Yeah.
okay. Well, obviously, if you don't know by now, I'll just say you're welcome to come to my section if you want to throw something in it. Come
No,
hang out.
appreciate it,
And
man.
yeah, I'm sure that probably I could speak for any of us that who are Kapala section leaders. We're all right next to each other, but yeah, you're more than welcome. I mean, anytime if you need somewhere to put
Thanks, Ray.
something, yeah, it'll be protected. But anyhow, he had nothing but CGC cards and was wanting PSA prices, and I'm like, this isn't gonna happen, man. And I gotta make a little bit of something too. I gotta give you a percentage. Like I just can't
Right.
pay you market. Like it's not how this how this works. And I don't know. He didn't end up selling me any slabs.
Wow.
Uh, and I don't know
Wow.
what he ended up doing the rest of the show, but I mean, I think he
What?
said he brought like 150, 200 CGC slabs, which is still nothing compared to what some of the people do bring. But
Hmm.
sold one, like that's.
That makes for a rough start for the next day. It's hard to get motivated after that. Hmm.
But it also kind of tells you where CGC is at in terms of where people are buying. It's no
Yeah.
disrespect to CGC. I don't mean I really respect that they've tried to adapt and change and do better. And I do think that they have the best looking slab overall. But man,
Yeah.
people are going to go where the money's at, especially in low, especially when I don't know, you're trying to buy something for 15, grade it for 15, and then sell it for
Right.
45. You don't have much room there for CGC low values,
Right.
right?
You can't drop 20% from the top of that.
Yeah,
You're in
you
trouble. Yeah.
get murdered, especially if then if
You,
you have to ship.
you sell it raw and fight with the 63-cent shipping label.
Yeah, exactly. And hope they're not doing a chargeback or something on you.
I haven't had too many. I forgot to comment on that, but of course, I'm just getting started. But I've only had a few bad experiences in terms of selling, but all my envelopes have been delivered, thankfully, thus far. So fingers crossed.
It'll happen.
Yeah, I know. It's coming. It's coming. That's all right. It's and if it's anything over $20, I put tracking on
Well,
it anyways.
I should say maybe not because seriously, when the tracking stuff got incorporated, it's not an issue anymore.
Been
Like I
a
have
non-issue.
now that I think of it, there's been not one lost. I'm sorry, one lost envelope, and I don't know when they implemented it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. One lost
Nice.
envelope, and it was legit. Like I checked it, it got stuck in like Tampa, and it just didn't move for like a week.
Never made.
It's like I
Okay.
I have no idea where it's at. So that one was actually legit. Like fun fact, you can actually look it up, right? It's kind of amazing what can happen when you can actually track your stuff. But yeah, it went from 2 a week to basically
to
zero.
one. Yeah, one every couple of years. Nice.
Yeah.
Good. I hope I keep that track record then. And that's something I would like to have. One of the things you mentioned around the card selling, and obviously you've been on the floor, which I think is, and perhaps at least locally, more telling than what you would see in your marketplaces like eBay and TCG Player, because you span so many places so quickly. And back to your, comments about being global. What do you see on the floor? Are sales stabilizing over the course of the past 1 to 2 years, or do you see them dropping? Is it more about lower dollar price and higher quantities of products that you're moving? How has that been shifting for you, and what's your view since you're on the floor?
Are you talking specifically at a Collecticon, or are we just talking about like
Yeah.
as I'm doing as a whole? Um, so I can give you the experience of Orlando. Sorry, I'm trying to think off my head. I went to Orlando, and then it would have been um, Fort Worth. Geez, I need to look at the Collecticon website really quick just to make sure I'm not missing any, because I didn't do, and then Kansas City. Um,
You
I
skip
would
Long Beach.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't do long. I wish I could have went, but I skipped it. I would say every show has been kind of different, and you kind of have to find the niche of that show. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like Orlando, like I just sold so much, it was unbelievable. I
Hmm.
did very, very well. Absolutely no complaints. Uh, and that's the one I was next to Dan, and he mentioned in your
Yeah.
show that I was crushing it. And I did that weekend. I'll try to be as humble as I can about it, but it was just surprising
That's
to
good.
me uh, to be able to we had a competition with Old School, who was in the section over, and there was no competition. So, sorry,
Sorry,
Walrus.
Josh.
Sorry, Walrus. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, everybody who's in the section with Nick. But they got toasted by basically Dan and I alone, and that didn't
Wow.
include Retro, who was with us, Thrifty, Pokemon DNA. I mean, we had some great heavy hitters. Nesto was with us. We had some great
Hmm.
people in our section, but we just murdered. And then we
Hmm.
went to Fort Worth. Um, it also helped that like the front entrance like was right there, like
That helps a lot.
100 feet, like me in front of like me and Nick section, like right there. We could like look at the
That's
people
awesome.
walking in. Yeah, so they're just stopping to hit us first. Uh, and I don't recall what would have been going crazy at that time, but I don't think I had anything in my cases that was like uh, for the market at that time, like anything specifically
Nothing
Japanese that
super
was kind
hot.
of losing their
Yeah.
yeah, something that was hot. So it just was good. People are buying. In Fort Worth, um, there was more in terms of just like a buying show. I sold stuff too. I did pretty well. But
Oh, okay. For you.
a lot of people just wanted to come up and trade and
Hmm.
wanted me to buy stuff. So it's like, all right, I came back with a hell of a lot of singles and a hell of a lot
Hmm.
of stuff to grade, because that's you don't get many opportunities, especially with English, to look at the card prior to you buying it. That's the only time I
Right.
will buy English singles, is if it's in person. I think Retro said that on your
Yeah.
yeah. It's a good little tip, because buying, I mean, you can be fine buying from TCG Player and stuff sometimes depending on the actual seller. But I mean, if someone's a known grader,
Right.
are you going to go to their eBay store and buy from them their singles?
Probably not.
Probably not. But
Yeah.
just that show Fort Worth, people were they wanted to trade and just sell a lot.
Hmm.
I did really well with that. So I seen that early on, like, all right, there's a lot of people who are just looking at stuff. Some buyers, I still did pretty darn well. I mean, if I can do as well as I did in
Hmm.
Fort Worth every single time, I'd probably be pretty happy. So not a
Okay.
bad show at all.
Just
It's
in
just
comparison to Orlando, was smaller.
it
Yeah.
wasn't insanity like Orlando, right? That was
Okay.
just lunacy. Uh, and then Kansas City was just it was it's kind of dead in terms of
Hmm.
buying.
Hmm.
Strange. It kind of just didn't really happen too much. I mean, I still had enough to where I paid for the trip and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And the big thing from it, which is still selling, I don't know if you got to catch it on my any of my videos or not, but I actually was able to buy a Japanese Moonbryon.
No, I missed that one.
Okay, I was able to buy a Japanese Moonbryon, which is not. It's pretty. I'm not gonna say it's not rare. You know, an Illustrator's rare, right? Japanese
But
Moonbryon
still,
is certainly attainable. Just go to eBay and you can buy one raw. But I was able to grade that, and it is a 10. So once that sells, my Kansas
nice.
City will have turned pretty well for me.
Positive. And was this your first year? I mean, or did you do it last year as well? I mean,
I did it last year. Man, what the hell shows did I do last year? By the way, I also do local shows when I can too, like the ones
yeah,
that are
I
around
heard you
here.
make a comment one day. You said, I'm going to bed because I have to get up tomorrow morning to go do a local show.
Yeah, and it's usually
So,
like sport shows. It's just
okay.
yeah, it's they're
Okay.
small. I mean, there's nothing crazy going on there. You might make like $1,000 in a day if you have a really good day. So it's
Okay.
just once again mostly if I can go there and get raw singles, right?
Right.
That's I want to be able to pull out that to me. I think a good indication if you're doing really well at a Collecticon is if you can say something like, I came here to buy. I didn't come here to sell.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If you can say that, then you're doing really well.
Okay.
um,
Has that contrasted though in eBay sales as you do those in parallel? Is that also pretty steady for you in terms of consistency and revenue generation over the
as
course
I
of the
can
year?
get, if I can consistently list, then yeah. The problem is I just don't
Uh,
necessarily have the capital or the churning ability to consistently list.
I
Um,
see.
eBay eBay can be really really good, but it can also mean right now it's been just slow for me. The summertime, I mean, it's kind of known
Yeah.
to be a little bit slower. But you're always going to have the outliers of people who say, "I had the craziest month ever." I mean, good for them, but I've
Right.
done terrible. But so far, I mean, year over year, my eBay's done a little bit more each year, so
Okay.
that's all I can ask for. I mean, it's not like I'm lower
That's
than the
positive.
previous year. Yep. So it's not much
Okay.
more than what it was last year so far, but I'm already ahead, so no complaints.
Positive. Awesome. Yeah, I was curious
Plus,
because
there's
I know you do both.
plus
So,
there's plus there's different ways to sell now too. Um,
what do you mean?
I took advantage of Dan was offering his eBay vault at that
Right.
time.
Right.
I mean, the numbers
James is
just
doing
make
some good
sense.
deals now too. I mean,
Yeah, I mean the numbers just make sense. When I can send it to Dan, and what is it, 5% is the fee
yep. Yep.
compared to what are you and I getting charged on eBay? Was it like 12,
Yeah.
13%?
12, 13%. Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
less than I
Why?
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
why do I
Yeah.
need to sell this? I mean, it sucks because now that takes away from the exposure. Like my Moonbryon is with Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's vault. Not that he needs more exposure, but now has a higher end card that's not on mine, right? Um, so that
And,
does
and I
that take,
think James did a recent lowering, or even just the consistency of what he was doing for the consignments as well, and it was quite competitive. And he dropped it, I think, even another percent or something like that. So
what the hell is James not lowering? That guy's an animal. Him and Cam's a superstar.
he's killing it, man.
Cam's one of my first good friends, like in the hobby, and it's just so good and so proud to see where he's at.
It's
Um,
awesome.
Working with James now, it's fantastic. That guy's just a superstar.
Yeah, definitely, I've seen some huge growth. If I look back over the old kind of history of some of these businesses that started and look at it now, it's awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. With that, I think we'll switch it maybe just slightly into a few of the personal topics. Not too personal, but we talked about it just a little bit before the live. But how, if at all, do you interact with the Pokemon in your family? We talked about it a little bit with your son. Do you and your wife share the experience? Is it just opening some packs, with your son, and maybe do some TCG from time to time? How do you guys enjoy it as a family, if at all?
So, um, obviously, I try to run it through him whenever possible. But as you know, having a child about the age of mine, they'll be into 9 different things in a month. Um, as of right now,
That's
for
about right.
him, which is not terrible, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is I
Same
can't blame
here.
him.
Same
I
here.
can't blame them, dude. It's awesome.
Yep.
I get it. And it's funny where that actually somewhat started was, this is actually kind of a funny story. You'll laugh because you'll understand. Um, he got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, of course, for whatever
Perfect.
reason. Yeah.
It's logical.
And oh yeah. And I was like, what are you doing up? And he's like, I don't know. I just want to go play. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I want to hang out with you. And it's like, Jesus. So I threw on, I said, you want to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Because it was just like one of the first things that was on Amazon, and just threw it on
Yep.
in the room so he could sit there and watch it. And he wanted to watch Secret of the Ooze, Turtles 2.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Perfect. Perfect.
from that point on, man, I think it was Vanilla Ice with the ninja rap. Um, he's probably watched a ton of the 80s cartoon now. We went to go
Yep.
see it a couple weeks ago. So there's that. But we've watched all of the Netflix Master Journeys.
Nice. Nice.
I try to get him to watch Indigo League a little bit, and
Yeah.
he got pretty far. He knows like all the characters and stuff. In terms of the TCG, it's funny. We were at Target last weekend, and they have that battle stadium that's there.
Yep. Yep.
I was like, man, we
The
need to get
Pikachu
this
one.
for
Yeah.
free. As of right now, our gaming of how we play is like he picks 5 cool cards, I pick 5 cool cards, and we say, you know, we're like battling, and we just kind of beat up the cards because it's what. Of course, he wins every single time, right?
Of
I'm
course. Of
never gonna,
course.
yeah. But it's more just like cartoons and stuff right now for him, and a little bit of the games when I can keep his focus on it, because he's the type, he wants like Minecraft builder type
Okay.
thing. He's got that
Yeah.
mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. And engineering kind of build it and create it kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff. My
So I
my
mean,
son's the same.
yeah. So all of it. I mean, he's touched all of it. Um,
Okay. Your
I
wife,
mean,
does she like Pokemon, or she doesn't want to talk about it?
I think she likes it better now than what it was before.
Okay.
But yeah, probably it's not
A little bit.
a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
not like probably me or the little guy.
Yeah, I'm thankful in that regard. My wife and I and the kids, we do typically Pokemon Fridays, and so we'll go if the kids do a good job in school, like good grades and all that kind of stuff. We'll go open some packs and usually have like a dinner somewhere, and then on the weekend we typically try to play some TCG. My wife plays; she has her own deck. She's got a Mew deck, and my son builds his decks, and we kind of play a little bit for fun. And yeah, we enjoy it. My youngest son was just a little bit too young, so he tried it, but he still needs help, and it's not quite there. So he's more of a collector. Hey, Dad, let's do a trade. Like, okay, let's do a trade.
The
Yeah.
interesting thing is, with how my little dude is, if he got it's one of those things where I have to be careful with how he would get hooked on it. But he has absolutely incredible math skills, so he
Mm.
could probably
Do all
do
the
very, very
calculations and the
well.
damage.
And
Yeah.
if he got really into it. But
You're kind of
if
like a savant in a way, kind of counting the cards and know what's left. And yeah.
you really have no idea. It's kind of actually freaks me out sometimes.
Mm.
His math is quite insane
Through
actually
the
for his
roof.
age. Yeah. Uh, but in terms of playing, if I play any games with the wife, we'll play Magic. I taught her
Oh,
Magic.
okay. Nice. Nice.
Um, it's usually just this. Like, I don't know if do you like playing Magic?
I haven't played before. I would love to try
You're
one
gonna
day.
just go buy this box. Jumpstart. Me and Josh talked about
Jumpstart.
old card shop.
Yeah.
Dude, you just put 2 packs together and play the game.
Oh, really?
You open 2 packs and play. I mean, you get 2 random themes. Play.
Okay.
I don't.
Nice.
Once again, I don't have the
Jumpstart.
time to build decks. So you get this for like $80. You get like 20 packs. It's the easiest way in the world that you're gonna go play Magic. The cool part
Awesome. I'll check
is
it out.
once you put 2 decks together, I'll just show you kind of like what I do. Is I have these team bags. Like this was a 1 pack,
Oh, nice.
another pack. These are the 2 themes. I kind of save them together, so now I have a mini deck I can play anytime.
Pre-ready. Yeah.
Yep.
Ready to go. Nice. Jumpstart. Is that made by Magic? Or is
Yeah,
it made by a third party?
Watsy.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Nice.
And they have
Check it out, man.
Jumpstart 22 as well. I mean, it's actually was so popular they came out with another whole like
Another round of it.
set. Yeah, it's actually be
Awesome.
careful with that. If you actually go do that, like anything WotC these days, they like to ruin everything. And they
Mm-hmm.
started, you know how we have theme decks in Pokemon or even in Magic,
Yeah.
there's just theme decks. They started incorporating Jumpstart theme decks in each one of the sets, and some of them are just trash. You want the actual booster boxes of
Right.
Jumpstart. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of some of the world's decks, I never liked it because the backing is, the world's backing. It
Yeah,
doesn't have the
it's not
Pokemon.
legal.
It's it's like you can't even use that anywhere else. It's my wife got it, and all the V Maxes and stuff were not even like textured or nothing. She's like, "What is this?" I'm like, I don't know, sweetheart. Let me take a look at that. I looked at it, I'm like, "Oh no, they got us. They got us."
That
Yeah, she's like, "I
sucks.
want the real cards." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'll give them
You
to
and
you,
your
sweetheart. I'll give them to
you and your non-tournament legal garbage. What are you doing? How dare you?
you. Boo, boo.
Throw it out.
Yeah. Well, I think we're almost done here, and again, I really appreciate the time. We're running up on 2 hours. It went by really fast. I enjoyed this. One of the things I'm always curious about, especially for somebody who's been in the hobby for a long time, is who some of your inspirations are. Who do you look to, and they kind of inspire you, and it can even be outside the hobby as well, but in and outside the hobby.
Um, well, I've already mentioned it. Clearly is an inspiration, the guy who I mentioned a lot, right? Dan.
Yeah.
Because 2 years ago, I think it would have been. It really he's very humble and always like shoots it down whenever I say this, but it really wouldn't have started without him. Um,
Hmm.
it's a really good story, but the first Collecticon I went to was Charlotte, and
What was it?
yeah,
Nice.
and essentially, interestingly enough, I think that was like Dan and Jake's, not Nick's first Collecticon or just any event, but I asked Dan, I was like, "Hey, he didn't know me. Like, you mind if I just stay with you guys? I want to try to do this and see if I can try to pick it up and see what I can do." And me, me and Jake like split a table. Like it was just awful. Like we had room for like 20 slabs each. But the most important thing is Dan invited me along and just like accepted me in. And he's like, "Yeah, as long as you understand that I guess at that time, if you look up videos at the time, it's actually really interesting. Him and Rusty were doing a very, very large deal.
Hmm.
And they went to Rusty's house and we're hanging out. And he's like, just understand that, we have this pre-planned thing. I just don't want you to get mad. And I was like, dude,
Yeah. No
thank you for
worries.
letting me come. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. But I want to say that he kind of showed me the ropes, but he didn't because it's the first time he did it too. But really being able to watch him and Nick, as well as Jake, kind of in their element, because they
Hmm.
obviously knew all those people. I mean, dude, my very first Collecticon that I go to, I have like Rusty coming up to the table. I have
That's awesome.
Gem Mint, Radar, Gary, all these guys coming to see not me, but you know, old school and Jake Pokenomics, and I'm just like they're like hi, like what's up guys?
Hi guys.
Want to see my 15 slabs that I
My,
have here that I bought?
I bought
I
20
mean,
cool slabs. Check it out.
yeah, I think I made $1,200 in that show, and it
Okay.
was basically enough just to cover everything. I was totally happy. But the most important thing is like I got to go and learn a ton and hang out with like just a couple stellar people in the hobby pretty much the whole weekend and learned a lot.
That's awesome.
Since then, it's obviously taken off. So obviously, yes, one of my inspirations, but I
Dan.
would say Dan for sure. Um, I mean, everything he does is so transparent. Just has so much integrity. Like it's impossible. I don't know how anybody could possibly ever say a bad thing about him, except that he's too tall. Um,
Is he?
and
I never would have guessed based on
oh
the
my
camera.
God, he's like 8 feet or something like that. Ridiculous. um, who else? I would say past that, it's going to be guys who are just consistently just great to be around and in the community because it's just there's so many like it just to name names like it would I would feel bad, but like anybody who's leading a section in Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
You have, do you know Weedle's Warehouse at all? Chris Weedle's
No, not
Warehouse,
yet. Mm-mm.
Mason, um,
Mason, yeah.
Nick, myself. Like we're I'm not tooting my own horn when I say this, but like um, we're putting a section together, so a whole bunch of other people don't have to have that large investment to have a section, so we can all stay together and be one big group. And we had
That's
5 of
nice.
them. Like,
Wow.
I mean, I can tell you really fast. Give me 1 second here, because it's actually kind of funny. One moment. So a count of about 50 people, probably between 40 and
Wow.
50 people that we're going to have split among 5 second spending, all from just spanning of a community of being together.
That's
And it
awesome.
starts with like, I already told you, please stop. I want you to stop by the section. I want you to come join, be with us, mingle in, because that's really where it goes from here. Is like, you just have to have that, I guess, naming recognition within the hobby, and it becomes a little bit easier for you to sell stuff. It,
Very
I
cool,
mean,
man.
if that's your goal, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
So,
I'm enjoying it as well, but yeah,
but
definitely I
yeah,
appreciate
past
the
that,
offer.
there's just so many. So, yeah,
All right, man. Cool. I definitely I've appreciated Dan and many others. Everybody I've had on the channel, I've definitely admired. It's been a fun journey, and spending time with them and getting to learn, and that's a big part of what this is all about as well. Is tapping the brains and tapping the experience of everybody that's been here, and everybody's been so willing and open to share their time with me, and again, deeply grateful for it. So
although I think he's starting to hide a little bit more stuff behind the paywall Discord now. So good luck with that.
well, we'll see. We'll see.
I left it and he hasn't been quite as open since. So maybe that
Mm.
there's something to it.
Gotta get that premium in.
Well, you gotta take a knock and a hit
I'm
at
kidding,
that
man. I'm
paywall
kidding.
Discord whenever you can. So just make sure you do it. It's just
I'll have to
inside
try it out at
jokes.
least once. At least once. At least once. Go download all the content. Um, we'll end it with this. As you know, we typically move through 2 questions at the end, and I changed one of them. So this one for you is a little bit different. What advice would you give somebody that is starting the hobby but trying to keep a healthy balance between life and family, job, and of course this being side job / hobby? What would your advice for somebody coming into Pokemon and they already have a family, they already have a full-time job, and they're going to try to dabble in this, but obviously not take it to extremes or get out of balance and cause issues elsewhere? What would that advice be for them?
Good luck.
End of stream.
No, one thing that I've definitely learned. Well, I'm gonna add one on to that myself if you don't mind me,
Please.
because I think it's great
No.
advice. But try not to FOMO too much. You're going to, but try not to do it too much, and try to just hold your ground. And like me, I already gave the example. I haven't bought any 151 yet. Um, I might miss out, and it's going to suck. Ultimately, I won't ever really miss out, because if I really want to, we can bite the bullet and buy it at
Right.
130, right?
Right.
But do I really want that? No. So in terms of like trying to be successful, just take it slow and steady. Don't FOMO too hard. Have your idea and know what you like, and then kind of just go for it. Because most of the stuff right now that's pissed me off at my own just reasoning and logic of how I've done a lot of this, has been not following my own first initial thoughts on things. Because
Yeah. That gut feeling.
I have been, once again, it's going to sound like I'm being very, selfish and not humble here, but I've been right about a lot of things that I did not take advantage of, because a lot of people told me, it's not going to work. Like Cosmic Eclipse, where it's at right now.
Mm.
It's one of my favorite sets, especially modern sets, but people just crapped all over it. I remember, and you're gonna know this when I say this, but how many times have you been doing your research and looking around, and you heard the words "printed to oblivion"?
Yep.
Have you
Yep.
heard "printed to oblivion"?
Oh yeah.
When
Oh
something's
yeah.
printed to oblivion, go buy it.
It's a
I'm
perfect
being
buying
facetious when
opportunity.
I'm being facetious when I say that, but like for real, like don't use that as a as a drawback to just not wanting something, because there's a hell of a lot of Cosmic Eclipse around, and I remember thinking to myself, everybody hates it, no one likes it. It's around
I'll
all
get
my
it later.
Walmarts, dude. It was gone like what felt like overnight around here. So I always remember I'll just get some of it later, and later never came. I sold my 2 cases of booster boxes that I had because everyone was just crap out. Like, I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm wrong here.
Nope. Look where it is now. Yeah.
The good thing is because I transitioned to the Japanese, I did buy a lot of boxes of Dream League.
Which is the equivalent?
Dream League is Japanese Cosmic Eclipse is actually 3 sets.
Right,
Cosmic Eclipse is huge. Yeah, there's
Mm.
Ultra Genesis, Dream League, and Remix Bout. Those 3 make Cosmic Eclipse in English. And I bought quite a few of each boxes because I loved Cosmic Eclipse, and that was cheaper after Cosmic Eclipse started going nuts. And I was like, well, I'm screwed on this. Let me buy the Japanese version. And I opened a lot. Well, I think from the Japanese boom, the Dream League was nearly like $900 a box. I mean, I bought them at 70.
Wow. Okay, same thing happened now.
Yeah, one subset box of Cosmic Eclipse in Japanese is equivalent to Cosmic Eclipse in English.
The full booster box.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's 2 other sets that actually make up Cosmic Eclipse that are $200 or $300 each.
And then
So
put all that together,
if you want the equivalent set, I put that in quotes in Japanese. I mean, you're spending $1,500 to get the experience that you would get from a Cosmic Eclipse booster box. Not to mention,
I just saw a case. It was $3,000, $3,500 for a whole case in US.
For what?
Like a Cosmic, yeah.
That's it.
So I mean, that's the going price, yeah.
Are you sure? Aren't they $800 a box? That's cheap.
Maybe I got the wrong case. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Yeah, it was. I thought I was looking at Cosmic, but maybe I wasn't. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was Ultra Prism. I take it back. It was Ultra Prism. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Never mind. Scratch that. Yeah. Okay. Listen to your own device there. So make sure that you're
the amount of
it.
things that I didn't. Yeah. That I should have. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes me sick.
So you're gonna do that now, going forward?
Oh, I already have. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
I don't. Yeah. My one now is Fusion Strike. It's my favorite English set. Probably from Sword and Shield. It's one of my favorite sets from Sword and Shield. You got to break them up, man. You can't just say this is my favorite. Like, it's impossible. There's so much. But I love Fusion Strike, and it's another one
it's a good set.
People are.
I love the whole kind of psychic suite that they have there, and the hits that they have there is nice. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the hits top to bottom, I am pumping it. I don't care. I'm pumping it right now on your channel, but it's really. I don't want to say underrated because I think it is perfectly rated, but there sure is a hell of a lot of sets in that, or a lot of hits in that set that people kind of forget about.
And with a few exceptions, I think we're going to say a lot of that for Sword and Shield as a whole. It's going to be, 10 years from now, it's going to be a really good series for Pokemon. I don't know where they go from here, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the end of Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield, lunacy.
Yeah, hit it when I came in. It was around the Crown Zenith and end of Silver Tempest and the beginning of Crown Zenith, and it was a great time to start opening packs. Like, man, this is awesome.
You said you opened V-Star?
Yeah, I jumped to V-Star right around that time, and so I was like, wow, this is amazing. I cannot believe, because I didn't know what to expect. So I started opening the Japanese packs, and I'm like, wow, there is so much in here. I couldn't believe it.
Dude, you open up a pack, and it's like you get something every single time.
You get like three hollows and double bangers and everything.
Yeah, I actually had my niece and my son open up a VMAX Climax box. It's another special set. And they're like, there's so much in here. It's just so much fun. They were just hitting something every day. And I was like, yeah, well, Japanese special set. Everything looks cool.
Yeah, that's right. Every pack's great. All right, man. We'll finish up here. And this will be the same. So we want to know, as we leave the hobby, what do you hope to leave with it? What legacy do you hope to leave when you're gone? Not necessarily about you as an individual, but something you hope is remaining once Ray is no longer in the Pokemon space.
I hope someone says, "Man, I wish that guy was still back in the hobby."
Where's Ray? Where is
Yeah,
he? Somebody call him
yeah.
up. Call
I
him
want to
up.
be that guy that like they're at Collecticon. Are like, man, remember when that Ray was here? That dude was cool.
He was on it. Got me started, man. He showed me the ropes. He showed me the
Yeah, I mean,
ropes.
I try to really do. I try to really help and do that as much as I can. I try to be a facilitator of helping people as much as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, however that may uh, transpire in someone else's mind, I just hope that they know that like that's what, they can come to me and ask questions, and I'll just like Dan was to me, um, help them get better at what they're doing, or if I, see something, because so you might need someone else to look at objectively what you're doing.
Right.
Um, so hopefully I can be a facilitator for help and change, at least with someone getting them better, right? Because you've already said people have come to you and told them to bring binders to the show.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's like it's funny because it's one of those things where it's why wouldn't you do that? I wasn't doing it at the start. Why wouldn't you do that? And there's more to it. In my case, as of right now, going forward, I do have people there that are going to buy them every single time,
Hmm.
right? So I just
Hmm.
know people are going to buy them from me. Like it's almost guaranteed. I have sources that I know they're not coming back unless that person's not going to be there, and then
Right.
I'm coming back with binders. So it's building out in a way that it's not going to be there. But yes, to answer the question, I hope that people can look at me like that as someone that maybe helped facilitate that some assistance in some way, um, whether it's just general advice or just detailed advice with maybe how to sell something, or just being a good person. Like,
You could
like
use a little bit more of that, right?
yeah, I don't want to be a cabal member. Please don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I won't give any more of the references to the cabal, but I had to do at least the one. Had to do at least one.
It's okay. I'm not
Yeah.
offended. I'm never watching this channel again.
That's all right. That's all right. I think my subscriber count goes down every day anyway. So, well, Ray, I deeply appreciate it, as I often say on the channel, and I said it a few times here already. We don't take time lightly. So, thank you so much for spending these 2 hours with us here today. And I hope to see you at Charlotte. I look forward to hanging out and, again, learning a little bit. I want this year to be a little bit of recon, and I think that'll be fun. And I'll try to join you guys next year, maybe. We'll see.
You absolutely should. Don't hesitate. Just you're in the Collecticon Discord, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. There'll probably be open signups to get on some tables. You're more than welcome at any of them,
I appreciate it, man.
except the ones I
Means a
say
lot.
you're not allowed. You're not allowed to, which will be if you know. I'm just kidding. It just first come first serve. Don't
Yeah, don't
make
wait
it a
too long.
priority. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
wait.
Well, I'll be there with the kids, so we'll probably be enjoying it this year, and then we'll definitely catch you up on next year for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
come meet us all, man. It's gonna be a good time. You'll have fun.
I'm sure I will. It's gonna be a blast. If you haven't already, anybody that watches this today or afterwards, Ray's YouTube and his eBay store is linked in the description, so feel free to check those out. Stay tuned as well. Next week, we'll have Danny Phantom on. That'll be a fun one. We're going to enjoy some discussions. We're going to go deep down the rabbit hole of Pokemon with Danny, and that'll be a blast. So we're going to enjoy that. It'll be fun.
I gotta follow. He's following up after me. Are you kidding me?
I just try to reach out to as many people as I can and learn as much as I can. And many people have been very generous. So
Yeah, I have
really,
not
really
got to meet
appreciate
him
it.
yet. I'm pretty jealous. I can't. I'm looking forward to it. Great content creator.
He is. Yeah, it'd be fun. All that being said, thanks everybody for joining in. Thanks for watching, and we wish everybody a great night. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.